And back to the countdown, everybody. We'll be streaming live on Dronetek's channel here shortly, so please tune in to Dronetek Politics. Dronetek Politics. I am streaming online and I have absolutely 0 people watching me right now. And that's okay. That's okay. Now I have 1 person watching me. Don't know who that person might be. Now I have 5 people watching me. Maybe there was people watching me. I think I bring. What thing are you? It's like, is it? I'm streaming. We're all streaming over at Dronetek, by the way. I mean, I am streaming on my channel, but you guys can hear Robert and Dronetek, but you wouldn't be able to see them. But we're over on their channel, so if you guys want to come over there, I'm gonna let this one run for a little while, and then Tex Edwards, you rock, man. No, you rock, Tex Edwards. Sorry, guys. Are we live on your channel, Drone? Drone, let me look. You know what? This is if this was not a Saturday night stream with problems, it wouldn't be a Saturday night stream, bro. I'm not it, Ram. Let me look. I'm gonna look here, man. I'm gonna see if you're live on your channel. Well, I'm not really. I'm not seeing it. That's so funny because I don't see it on your channel. You are, but I'm not seeing Rob. I'm not seeing Dronetek's live on his channel. Yeah. It's not on your channel, though. Like, when I go here, I don't see live, bruh. Oh, yeah, you could probably have it unpublic, man. Well, everyone on my channel is. The few people on my channel are, but that's okay. There's only... Sound off in the chat. Who do we got out here? Who do we got? Who do we got? We got Tex Edwards. Who else we got? I know somebody else is out there watching. So say something in the chat. We have D Live. Oh, tell DM a lot. Tell DM thanks a lot for going to your channel and not mine. Tell her I appreciate that. She can hear me? Oh, thanks a lot, DM. DM Demod, happy... Oh, now she pops up. Is she on D Live? Is she on YouTube on yours or on D Live? Now's Hope, Now's Hope. Now's W Hope. I can't read. I don't know that. Hey, hey, -oh. Who's that? Now's is on mine. Yes. 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 And we run a certain night, probably just for scheduling times, like for us to be able to be active to do it. What's up, Demod? DM Demod. What's up, DM? I think we should do it to where maybe we only have a commitment of 2 times a week, a certain time slot, just to start. Like on Tuesdays and Fridays or whatever we pick. And we'll have time slots backing up to one another. So it's dink, dink, and dink. And then we can, go ahead. It's definitely going to be a better name than Handsome Patriots, but... Yeah. No, I think it would be rad. Yeah. Okay, good. Then I'm going to shut that down. I think we we simultaneously kind of came up with the same idea. Like I think we sort of bounced. I think it was mostly your idea, but partially my idea. I feel like I helped. Yes, exactly. So no. Yeah, can you pull up any of that, or is that like, are there any clips or? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Robert. Yeah. Period. Well, right. Right. Well, you think about the same thing that happens with the white domestic terrorists. It's like what's the precise small little percentage of whites here in America of the far right? They're actually like the Timothy McVeighs of the world, the tiny little percentage, right? But what all whites get blown up into, anybody on the conservative, anybody, all that, they're part of this this right terrorism group. Like it's the same thing. You don't even have to go as far as ISIS to make that comparison. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah.
But something that was bothering me about the guy I was talking to is that, and there's this sort of acceptance for their violence too, and like taking over the highways and shit like that. Like that is not an okay thing to do, to mob a highway and then keep people from traveling, and then you know, in some of these cases they're shooting at people and people are getting shot in these conflicts. Like, why isn't the media, why aren't the police stopping them from doing this? It just seems like it's a really dangerous thing to do, because obviously people the chances of them getting hurt are pretty high. But then on top of that, it's like instigating a conflict, like somebody wants something to happen there, you know. And
Yeah. Well, it's like DM. Was it DM? Someone was pointing out. Yeah, it was DM pointing out that this could be a false flag where those aren't Proud Boys. I don't know if I buy that or not. I think that these conservatives have had. I haven't watched what's going on down there. I can only imagine. But I mean, at this point, I'm kind of like, no. If they go down there and they get into fisticuff with these pieces of shit, I don't have any fucking problem with that at all. And I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe it could be that it's not Proud Boys, that it's somebody LARPing in place of Proud Boys for a false flag. I don't know if I buy that. I think it's legit Proud Boys are down there, and they're like, we've had
yeah,
enough of this shit, and they're standing
yeah,
up and I'm all. I mean, it's like, how do we think a civil war would kick off in this country, though? I mean,
right,
we're getting to the point where that's gonna happen, and I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not promoting that, right? I'm not saying that needs to happen. I'm wishing it wouldn't happen. I wish we had politicians and we had leaders that cared enough about what's going on to step up and to stop this bullshit, right? But they want that. I think the powers that be, the globalists, the predator class, the people that have been pulling this whole strings from the whole start of this COVID bullshit till now, the whole start of the Black Lives Matter to now, the men behind the mask, if you will, or behind the curtain, they want this. They want to get people so pissed off, run down, aggravated that they snap and they cause exactly what we're seeing happen.
Yeah, and
Well,
real quick, and Robert, then you can go. I just want to read the super chat. Thanks a lot, G Spotter 63 for that $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. The organization BLM, a self-professed Marxist group, which they are, with the agenda of overthrowing the U.S., they are using the emotional response to the name Black Lives Matter to fool many for fighting for their cause. Obviously, yeah. I mean, that's what's going on. What blows me away is how many people just kind of go with it and fall for it. It's like, and I asked earlier today in this debate I was in, I asked, where's the critical thinking here? Like, there's zero going on. Like, this guy, most of these people, they'll do their best to do these mental gymnastics to convince themselves that, oh, it's not really Black Lives Matter people that are doing this. It's like I want people to explain to me what it is about Black Lives Matter that they approve of, and a lot of them will say, "Oh, racial justice." Okay, well, what the hell is that? Like, what's racial justice? And then you start talking about, is it an actual problem that they're talking about here? And you start getting to the stats, and it's just, I mean, we need more of that, but it just seems like people don't want to see it, and so I'm not sure if anything. It seems like BLM is winning. I don't know. I don't want to be a pessimist, but.
no, I
Well,
think they.
here's the right.
Go ahead,
Yeah, like,
Robert.
yeah, of course, right? Like, it's very clever marketing, and this is straight out of Saul Alinsky's playbook and Rules for Radical and How to Overthrow a Country. What happens is this: you take any lie is rooted in truth, and so what they do is they take a position. Any one of us could understand a few things. One, we can understand that there are a lot of problems that are unique to the inner city Black community. That's certainly true. And by the way, I'm someone who's talked about often on my channel how the Republicans need to do a better job of understanding these problems exist. Now, why do these problems occur? There's tons of reasons we can get into. I don't think it's systemic racism. I've yet to be proven that, but I'm willing to have that discussion. So most people start off with that. Yes, there is a problem. Another thing that people could agree with, was there heinous racist things that occurred in this country in the past? Yes. Were those done by people that were white to people of color? Yes. And so the truth is most people are good people. And if you tell them, hey, here's something bad that your ancestors did, they're willing to say, wow, I'm really sorry for that. But here's the problem. That's only a small part of the truth. What they leave out is that everyone's ancestors did heinous things, that the world is a grueling, cruel place, and that every society, if you go back far enough, has terrible things that occurred. And if we focus on those terrible things, we'll never be able to improve and do better. So what happens is they take these small truths. Yes, there are bad things happening in the inner city Black community. Yes, there are historical injustices, and they use that to obtain political power. And so they know people are willing to be good faith and say, sure, I'll listen to that. And so there are millions of people like, yeah, we're with you. We think that it's terrible what's happening in the inner city. Yeah, we think that it's terrible what happened with slavery in the past. But then that's used by people that are controlling that movement to say, therefore, we need to reject capitalism. Therefore, wow, this is intense what we're watching here. Huh? We need to reject all
live?
Sorry.
Is this live
no,
right now?
It's not live, no.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, Robert.
No. And so that's just it. That's what I was going to say. So what happens is, yes, are there people that support Black Lives Matter for disparate reasons? Absolutely. But the theme that's going through it is this Marxism. It is the people that have institutional power that are supporting Black Lives Matter, cheering or deflecting for political violence, violence done for a political cause. That's called terrorism. And that's what makes them dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
If you believe in helping these problems to the Black community, you don't have to support Black Lives Matter. You can say, no, I think there are things we could do, but you don't have to support an organization that has institutional backing that is willing to be racist and willing to use terrorism to achieve their goals of eliminating our system of capitalism.
Right. Yeah, and real quick, not to sidestep here, but did you guys happen to see the video Crowder just recently put out where he called the Mashable editor? And to call her on, well, they had their Australian bureau wrote an article about Crowder getting his YouTube channel back and made a bunch of claims that weren't true, and he was calling her about it and saying, hey, what's going on? And they kind of got into a little debate about whether or not Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, and the Mashable editor is like, oh well, what's the definition of terrorism though? She's like, it doesn't apply to them. What is it? Like, as if she was calling him out on it. And it's like, do you not know the definition of terrorism? You're an editor of Mashable and you don't know? Like what you just said. Yeah, it's so clear cut. It's, using force and violence against civilian or, government forces to push a political agenda. And that's exactly, some of their leaders have straight up said that there will be violence. We'll burn it down if you don't, acquiesce to our demands. So
no, I have a friend that is let me go back to this one, who is a Portland police officer, right?
Holy crap. And, hey, real quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean to stop you, SJG.
Okay.
Real quick, just before it goes away, somebody gave $50, so thank you, Eric Milan. And you said, hey, Dronetek, longtime follower, are you aware of the boat parades going on in Florida? Yes, I am. Looks like the silent majority has never been bigger. MSM does not cover events like this. What is your take? Yeah, we'll get to that as soon as SJG is done. Good. Sorry.
Anyways, I talked to him a bit on Facebook. Number one, I asked him, I go, so how do you feel about, like a week ago, I asked him, how do you feel about the federal agents being in there and helping the cops? Because I wanted to know what the cops felt about it. And they were all like, we're fine with it. We're fine with it. We're happy to have them. But he posted what, it was a piece of paper, a little flyer that was put on their East Precinct like 2 weeks ago when their East Precinct got broke into and got, tried to get set on fire and got demolished. And the East Priest, this was from Black Lives Matter, and this is not a peaceful protest. We are not, and until there's justice, there'll be no peace. We're, just listed off a bunch of things saying we have no intention of being peaceful. We don't want to be peaceful. This isn't anything about peace, right? So whether or not that directly came from the top of Black Lives Matter or it's Rose City and Quifa that did that, who knows? But the fact of the matter is, these people are not about peaceful protesting, as the stupid ass fucking Brian Stetler fuckfaces of the world want to go out and say it is. And I'm sorry about that. I hope I don't offend anybody with my F-bombs, but I don't really care if I do. It's ridiculous that we're playing this game. I'm getting so angry about all of it. I don't really know what to do. I just don't. I don't even know what to do. Funny story before we move on. Hang on, then you can read that. We'll talk about that. Somebody just subscribed to my channel, and his name was Williams. I forgot his first name, but I typed in, I meant to type in thanks Williams for, subscribing, but I forgot the T, so I typed in Hank Williams, which I thought was kind of funny. Anyways, go ahead.
And let me just say real quick before the boat parade, let me make one other thing clear. One of the biggest pushbacks I got from people I know, and I think that I can speak for Dronetek and SJG because I know you well enough. None of us want martial law. None of us want soldiers on the street, right? Like, we all agree with that, right? Like,
absolutely not. Yes.
We don't want abusive police or military forces on the streets. When I typed way back in the day, when I started doing videos back when this George Floyd stuff started, and we saw what was going on in Minneapolis, New York, DC, and other places, and you saw mayors like de Blasio in New York say, oh, we had to pull the police out, and you just watched these cities burn. Look, our deal, the reason we have government first and foremost is because as a collective, we've given up some of our rights and some of our property in the form of taxes for basic functions that we think that we can't do as individuals, but we need a collective. Infrastructure might be one, border security, fighting foreign wars, and keeping us safe is the number one thing. That's the deal we have with government. When the government is unwilling to keep us safe, there is no need for government. And so the local government was unwilling, de Blasio's unwilling to have the police keep people safe. And so I said, then perhaps it was time for Trump to send in the National Guard or some form of federal troops. I was told by all sorts of people that have known me for years, what happened to the civil libertarian? What happened to the person that was critical of police, over policing and things like that? Let me be clear what my position is and what's going on here. I don't want troops on the street. I don't think it's a good option. However, it's the best option because the people that run these police forces, and I debated this guy Destiny on Twitch, I've debated at least half a dozen people that have full on admitted this when I finally got around to pulling it out of them like Yankee teeth. They want the riots because they think it hurts Trump.
Right.
That's what's going on.
I remember
and
that.
So they want, for them, they have this caricature of Trump as this dictator in their mind. So they want Trump to be dictator-like. They want Trump to send troops on the street. That's who wants troops on the street. It's the left. It's the Democratic Party. It's not us. We just say that it's better than the alternative. And you want to know what the alternative is? The alternative is a bunch of business owners in New York or Minneapolis or DC or Chicago, insert any of these cities, Portland, Seattle, they're going to come together and say, get your guns. We're going to take care of this problem. And then we're going to see real pogroms. Then we're going to see blood on the street like this country hasn't seen for decades. We're going to see dozens upon dozens of people shot and killed in one incident. That's what's going to happen. And you people that are turning a blind eye to these riots or saying we don't want police to deal with it, and we certainly don't want the National Guard or federal officers to deal with it. That's what you're pushing for. And when it happens, you'll have the disgusting, smug reaction of, oh, look what the right wing did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're just going to blame it on us. They'll blame it on the right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to instigate something because they know that the media is just waiting for it too. It's like, it's horrible. I was like earlier, I hate to keep going back to this debate I was having earlier, but we were talking about the specific incident, which he didn't know about, of course, where this BLM member shot at a car and ended up hitting two other BLM members. In that incident, this car, this blue Jeep, drives through. They're taking over the highway unlawfully, by the way. They didn't have a permit, and I was watching a live stream where they're like harassing people in their cars that have stopped, and this blue car starts going and takes off. And everybody gets out of the way, and you can actually see the guy slow down so people can cross. So he was obviously not trying to, but they shot at him. And yet, when you read the news reports about it, if you can find them,
he was probably trying to run people over.
Well, they make it look like he's the bad guy, and it's like, why are these people taking over a highway, like the main highway in Austin or in Aurora? Like, in
well, it's like what happened in Seattle when the dumbasses went out on the freeway, and that dude that just for record, the African American dude goes ripping down the highway and plows into those two white girls and kills one of them. It's like if you play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid fucking prizes. If you're gonna walk your happy dumb fucking ass out onto the highway in the middle of the night, and some drunk, deranged, or confused person comes ripping out and rips into you, that's on you. That's on your dumb ass for getting out there.
Right. Just imagine, if you're watching and you're on the left, you might be thinking, well, can't you just be respectful if they're blocking the highway and turn around and go somewhere different? Let's ask you that question. Let's say that a bunch of white Trump supporters go into inner city Chicago to a black neighborhood and start blocking the street and say, no, we don't want any black people traveling down this street. You go ahead and turn around. I will guarantee you that every major news station in this country would be there going, look at these racists. Who do they think they are, restricting people's rights to travel on public property? But when it's the reverse, when it's Democrats and they put up these, military-style checkpoints where they're armed now, telling you that you can't travel on a certain road, we're all supposed to just be like, oh, that's a very reasonable request. That's garbage. And I'm not going to listen to people that have no authority over me tell me where I can and can't travel. Ridiculous.
Yeah, right. Agreed. That's true. And you know what? We got to stop complaining. And I'm guilty of this myself. We need to stop bitching about the media and everybody being, working against us, because we all know it. And like, who are we trying to convince? They know it, right? Everybody knows it. And so it's like, what we really got to do is come up with tactics that can counter them. That's the left is pretty brilliant at that, I must say. I mean, they are brilliant at like just the theatrics and spinning their violence is somehow like justified, and like taking over the highways and stuff, like just like Robert was saying, if we ever tried to do anything like that, man, they would come at us. But real quick, and we'll come back to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, this is something that I've struggled with talking to my friends recently. I have been steadfast in that I am against political violence. I still am, so don't misinterpret me. I'm against it coming from any side. I'm trying to take the high road. I'm trying to have reasonable discussions.
It's designed to turn you into an asshole, though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That, and they use that against us, by the way. They use our, like,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Robert.
At what point do let's just take a simple situation, right? Did you see the Goodyear story where a slide got released from Goodyear's like PR team that was like, oh, we support Black Lives Matter. You can wear Black Lives Matter, but you can't wear a MAGA hat or a Blue Lives Matter shirt.
Right.
Now, it could be Goodyear's came out and claimed that wasn't really their messaging. They hired a firm. That was something the firm was suggesting. I don't know the truth. But here's why I bring up this story. I'm against this sort of cancel culture. I'm against it. Even when it comes to like organized boycotts. How can I in good conscience be against that anymore? Like, we tried it the polite way. We tried for years now to say, no, we won't do that to you. The truth is, they're not going to learn until they're victims of the pain that they cause on others. When they cancel you, when they go through your Twitter feed and look for something you said when you were in high school to ruin your life, they think that it's funny and acceptable and awesome and moral, and they don't learn until it happens to them. So I'm still going to say, don't do it to people. I don't want you doxing people. I don't want you canceling people. I don't want you using violence on people. But karma is a bitch. And what's happening is you do this, when you do this one-sided crap long enough, people like me lose clout. People like me that want to solve this sensibly and have a marketplace of ideas, we lose. Because
getting tired.
But that's what they want, Robert. That's what they want. They want us at that point where we're like, fuck it, let's go. Let's load up the guns and let's get after this. Let's do it. That's what they want. They don't want us having reasoned, logical discussions on this and coming to reasoned, logical conclusions. They want a divided population because, number one, we're easier to control, and then we'll do the dirty work for them. We'll go out and we'll kill the left and they'll kill the right, and we'll end up, and then what does it do? It gives them the right to come in with a heavy-handed authoritarianism over the top of us to stop it all, left and right, and to squelch all in total, uprising against this.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening. It's just gradually happening. They're slowly, and it's hard to imagine that we're going to win this, unfortunately. I hate to be pessimistic, but it's like the schools, they're in the schools. I mean, I'm worried about what's going to happen. My daughter's getting ready to go to start kindergarten, and now I'm already starting to hear that there is BLM stuff that is going to be like literally taught to the students. Like I already suspected that because the superintendent put out an email that just read like it was from BLM. So, and that's concerning. Now I'm going to have to go into these board meetings, which maybe I'll do streams of those.
You
or something,
should get a viral video.
Their own hubris is their worst enemy, though, because here's some of the things that are going to happen. So because of how understand this, the number one weapon that these Marxists have, these anti-American globalists, the number one weapon they have is the indoctrination and the total and complete control of our education system. You think it's just college. It's not. Your preschoolers are being taught this crap.
Fuck yeah.
Your kindergarten, K through 12 are being taught this crap, and your tax dollars are going for it. You go back and see me videos years ago screaming, defund the schools. Any school that's unwilling to allow conservatives on campus and mobs them, we should not give one tax dime to, period. But no one's listened to me.
No.
I mean, you obviously, we've all been saying that type of stuff, but what sort of power do we have? However, their own hubris is going to be their undoing. Why? Because the teachers union, which is one of the biggest threat, and I mean this in all sincerity, the teachers union is one of the biggest enemies to the United States of America.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying if you're a teacher, maybe you're a great teacher, but you need to rein in your union because they're terrible. They're talking themselves out of a job real quick, aren't they? Isn't that smart? So the one tool that the radical left has, education system, they're actually showing you right now during COVID by them saying, oh, and we don't want to go back to school, and we basically don't want to have to teach kids online, but we still want paid.
Yeah, we still want your tax dollars. We still want your tax dollars.
Implement the Green New Deal, defund police, but this is all about COVID, trust us. So what the average American's waking up to today is this. Wait a minute, we don't need these teachers. We don't need them. Why don't we just take that tax money that we were spending, give it to the parents, and allow the parents to pursue an education for their children?
But time out on that. Let me speak to that real quick. But that's not. I don't think that's exactly what they're wanting to do, because they are making it so difficult to do homeschooling now. And there's even talk of regulating homeschooling so much that they don't want to be able to have kids in the schools, but they want to have total control over the kids, because we're homeschooling our daughter, right? She's going into 8th grade and we're homeschooling her this year. Yeah. And we got a homeschooler curriculum, online school for her that she's going to do at home through this independent thing. But all the hoops we had to jump through to get her unregistered, and my wife has been reading every jot and tittle about it, and very detailed, and they make you send certified letters to make sure that your kid is not enrolled, and otherwise they're going to be up our ass about what school and where we're having her, what program we have her in. So they want, and it goes to the whole Zoom meetings where schools are saying parents aren't allowed to be in the same room with their kid when they're being taught, and can't be over their shoulder listening to what they're being taught. They want total control. They want to fucking poo-poo on the homeschooling. But I agree with you that this nefarious thing that the stupid ass teachers don't even realize their unions are pushing them out of a fucking job. Because they're like, oh, you can't go back to school because you might catch the vid. You might catch the COVID.
Corona?
Yeah, the corona, the vid. Which, by the way, I have a couple people that I know that are close to me now, finally, months afterwards, that have actually caught it. That my niece caught it, and her husband caught it. And they had a slow grade fever, a little few body aches, that was it. I've had colds and flus way worse than the COVID. And this is what we're fucking talking about, ruining the fucking world for over this shit. I'm losing my shit. That's why I haven't been doing streams or videos, because I don't even know what to talk about because I'm so angry all the time. I can't straighten my thoughts out and collect them. I don't know how you do it, Robert. I really don't know how you do it as much as you do, because I would just rant, dropping F-bombs relentlessly, because when I get talking about this, it just makes me angry, really fucking angry.
Hey man, I was on it in March, wasn't I? I was there. I said the biggest threat to our country isn't this virus. It's not even the economic decline. It is that so many Americans, even Trump supporters, are willing to give up their rights when the government says, oh, there's this unknown threat out there. And if you set that precedent, it will be used over and over. That's exactly what's happening. But just real quick, I agree with everything you said there. But the positive, to discuss what you're saying, Dronetek, the positive is more and more people are waking up every day to that one little fact that these teachers' unions are worthless. They're worthless. Here's another thing, right? I come from rural Pennsylvania. I've lived here my whole life. I've been talked about how I'm a 10-toothed rube that clings to my guns and Bibles, and I live in flyover country and how worthless I am. Well, because of the hubris of these establishment left-wing people, guess what? Our cities are done. They're done. They will never be the same. New York City, Chicago.
Let's get this going, baby.
They're done. Because what this lockdown has proved is, why am I paying $3,000 a month in rent for a place that I could pay $500 for a rent a month in the suburbs or in rural? And I could do everything digitally online now. It'll never go back to the same. And so these bastions of smugness and intellectual superiority and their ivory towers, all of a sudden, prospects ain't looking so good for them so much, is it? So, hey, look, here's the thing. Are we going to lose short term? Maybe. We'll see what happens in 2020. Am I guaranteeing a win? Look, life's not a fairy tale, right? If you're religious, you win in the end if you believe in God. But other than that, life's not a fairy tale, and we may lose. That's the truth. But I know this. I damn well could sleep when I go to bed at night, because I know that I'm not judging people based on the color of their skin. I'm not defending violence because it helps my political side. I'm not unwilling to call out my side. I'll say whatever I think's the truth, come hell or high water. I don't care if I lose followers or not. But what's the other side doing? You know, the side that claims to be your moral superior, they hate you for who you are. They hate you for your skin color. They hate you for your political beliefs. They hate you for depending on what. And so I win in the end because I can sleep at night. I don't care what these scumbags that want to seek to divide us so that they control us do. And I'll keep fighting until the day I die, as far as I'm concerned.
Amen. Preach it. Preach it, Robert.
For sure. Like, I've lost so many of my old friends and stuff that all think I'm some sort of like racist. And to me, it's like, I'm the only one that stayed consistent. It's like all of you guys have like fallen for this ruse, you know?
Yeah.
Real quick, let me just give you the perfect example of that. You remember the Iraq War? I graduated high school in 2000. So 2003, I was in college. By 2004, I met all these left-wing friends in college. And I was like, I became a Ron Paul guy. I was against those wars. So I was like, the Bush lied, people died. Woo! Rock against Bush. Bruce Springsteen. I was a punk. I would go to NoFX concerts and listen to them yell about Bush and the Iraq War. And then Obama got elected. And all of a sudden, all my friends on the left, their Nobel Peace Prize guy that was their savior, he starts dropping bombs at a record clip. He starts going with these wars. Now, 10 short years later, they're calling me going, Rob, you've changed so much. What happened to that guy that was anti-war? I'm still anti-war. Meanwhile, you're voting for the party that is excoriating Trump for trying to pull troops out of places like Afghanistan, a war that you protested 20 years ago. And now you're for the war.
Right.
And these dumb people think that we changed.
Guys, you know what, though? Here's the... I'm losing my faith in both parties, quite honestly. I think I'm going back to the lesser of two evils. And I will probably vote for Trump just because I think the inevitable will at least be delayed. Some of the inevitable will be delayed, but I don't even know if that's fucking true. Because did you hear what came out? And you all know, anybody who knows that my big hot button is the vaccine shit coming, right? And that's been my whole thing. I've been really researching Moderna and all this other stuff. And that and the Marxist cultural takeover of our lives and our culture, that also is my hot button. But this vaccine thing is my real hot button. And Trump came out today and said the Democrats and deep state FDA or somebody in the DA is trying to slow down the vaccine until after the election. Meaning, he wants to rush it along when that's a complete Playhouse 97, because the FDA and a few months ago, all the left was like, we need the vaccine. We need the vaccine as fast as possible. And Fauci was being the smart little weasel that he was, playing the ground, well, it's going to take 12 to 18 months. And Gates comes out and goes, well, it takes 2 years. I mean, if we're really lucky and we get it done in 12 to 18 months, we're really lucky and get it done by that time. Yeah. We know that the left and the Bill Gates crowd of the world that's been pushing the vaccine, they want this vaccine out as quick as possible. And this whole ruse is just to get everybody, not rouge, that'd be the color of your skin, but the ruse is just to get people vaccinated, because he wants to jab us with this fucking crazy ass mRNA, messenger RNA fucking vaccine. But now Trump has been pushing that, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have the military ready to give it to you." And he talks out of his mouth this way that it's gonna be ready to go, and we'll have the military, but not everybody will need to have to take it. Well, yesterday in Virginia, it comes out the health. I don't know if you guys read this, but one of the health administrators of Virginia came out and said when the vaccine's ready, he's gonna push that it's mandatory for everybody in Virginia, and you have to take it. I don't know if you read that or not, but I can get the article for you.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. The mandatory vaccine. That seems weird, right?
It seems really weird, but I think that's where they're pushing. And that's where I'm kind of like, fuck you, Trump. This is the thing where it's like, what the hell are you doing right now? And I feel like all we've gotten is lip service lately. And yes, I hate fucking Biden and the left. I hate him. I am the one, like we were just talking about. I'm the one who's staying consistent here. I'm the one who's a conservative and saying small government, fucking keep our guns, keep my free speech, stay out of my life. Don't be forcing shit down my throat, whatever. Let me live my life. And it's the fucking parties that are leaving me, not me leaving the parties.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, this is a small comfort, but see what you think about this, Dronetek. I don't think Trump knows. Like, he's not a virologist, neither am I. Here's the problem with being a president. There is no human capable that has all of the knowledge by themselves to do the job of the president. So being a leader and having a good team around you is something that's crucial. Trump's done well sometimes with that. He's done terrible times. Look at John Bolton. Look at Michael Cohen, right? Look at some of the people he's put around him. So I think that Trump's gut's in the right place. But yeah, he's got Fauci telling him, the vaccine. Mr. Trump, once this vaccine hits, whenever it hits, man, it'll solve everything. The economy's going to spike back up. Your numbers are going to go through the roof. You'll get credit for it. So Trump's just like, yeah, sounds great. Let's do it. He doesn't know.
So he's a dumbass.
Now, that's small comfort. So, right, it's his job to know. So this isn't an excuse for him. And I'm totally with you, SJG. They'll hold me down by force to give me that vaccine. I'll guarantee I'm not taking it. I'm not. Yeah. In fact, here, see if you caught this story, right? Did you see, I think it was Fauci came out and said, well, now the CDC it was. They said, actually, if you've had COVID, you're immune to it for 3 months. Now, look in the details of what they're laying the groundwork for, if you think about this. Also, vaccine is a small, manageable dose of the virus. That's what it is. It doesn't give you the symptoms, but allows your body to develop antibodies to fight it. Am I wrong? Like, that's your guys'.
That's not the new vaccine. That's old vaccines, yes, but not the new one that they're pushing. The mRNA is completely different than that. The new one is actually a coating. It's not even dead selling of the, and I'm totally, this is new vaccines for dummies. I'm going to tell you, but the mRNA for dummies. mRNA vaccine has never, ever in the history of vaccines ever been okayed because of the side effects and the efficacy. Moderna has been trying to get the messenger RNA vaccine going for the last 10 years and has not been able to do it because they say that the side effects outweigh any efficacy that it brings and we cannot nail it down right. Basically what it drops in is it drops it into our DNA level. So it drops in this coding into our DNA that anytime it comes into contact with certain things, it builds it, but I'm totally fucking hammering this and not doing a good job. I did a really good job explaining it in a video, a couple of videos back. You could go and watch it. But basically, this vaccine's never been done before. And this is the one that for 10 years, they have tried to get right because they started with HIV, trying to cure HIV and whatnot. And they have never been able to do it. Come January, they came out in January before all this blew up, right? Moderna came out in January and said, hey, great, guess what? Good news. We have an mRNA vaccine that we probably can get ready to go before the end of the year. This is before anybody was talking about vaccines. This was before anybody was even thinking that we needed mass vaccinations, right? Moderna got $483 million given to them by the federal government and total immunity. We know that, right? Total immunity, so there can be no lawsuits brought against them from any side effects. And $483 million was given to them by Trump to go after and to develop this vaccination that they said they think they can get done before the end of the year, which normally takes 5 to 10 years and hasn't been able to be done in 10 years, the last 10 years. So it's different than your regular vaccines.
But I will guarantee what will happen is, this is what will end up happening with it. They'll say, oh, you got that vaccine last year. Unfortunately, that was just for one particular strain. We're going to need to vaccinate you again, right? And actually, when you get COVID, when you get the antibodies to it, it only works for 3 months. That's what the CDC says. So every 3 months, you might need to go get another vaccine. I mean, this is kind of the nonsense. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. Why don't I trust it? Because I see what they're doing. The same people that are telling you that, yeah, we're the smartest people in the room. You have to believe it. You have to take this vaccine. Are the same people that said, you can't question us. We're the smartest people in the room. We're going to send COVID patients to nursing homes.
Yeah.
And then when it killed all of these people in the nursing home, they were like, oh, our bad. Oh, well, believe it.
Oops.
So what are we, the guinea pigs?
No, you're wrong on that, Rob.
Well, they
You're
went a
wrong
step
on that.
further and they like praised Cuomo as like the
I was just
god
gonna
of
say,
COVID.
That's what I was going to say. I'm you're wrong on that. Cuomo did perfect, man. I don't know if you got the news, but he told everyone during the DNC that he handled this thing exemplary. He was an exemplary, exemplary example. Exemplary example, is that right or no? I don't think
Chris Cuomo said so on CNN, the place for news.
Right? Oh, Jesus. It's fucking...
You can't argue with that. It is the place for news. Look, just put this story humanized real quick. Imagine that you're an old lady. You have grandkids. You have kids. You're in a nursing home, right? You're real scared because you hear about this virus. So you know you can't see your kids and your grandkids, which sucks because you're probably approaching the end of your life if you're in a nursing home. Can't see your kids. Then you find out that sacrifice you're willing to make for the country is irrelevant anyways because your new neighbor that they just put in at the nursing home has COVID. And they lock you in. And you can't even talk to your family. And so then you get sick, and as you lie in your deathbed thinking about your life and how all you want to do is see your kids one last time, you're not allowed because Cuomo said, oh, we can't risk spreading the virus. We can't leave your family come in. And then the last thought that goes through your head is your family doesn't even get to have a funeral for you. Now, that's abuse of a scale that you can't imagine. That is disgusting, despicable.
Yeah.
Just some of the, alliterate all you want with any D word here. But it's unbelievable. That's literally what these Democratic governors did. And now we have to pretend that they're somehow the moral authority.
Yeah. No, it's a shit show. It's a complete and total shit show. A ridiculous shit show.
You gonna take the vaccine, Drone?
Probably not. No.
No, you're not gonna take it.
I definitely don't want to be one of the first people.
I will come wherever you are, back down wherever. I don't want to say it on camera.
Let me tell you,
kick you in your ball sack.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten a flu shot, so
I haven't either.
I mean, I don't know why I would start. So
with an untested one pushed through by Gates, we should be able to trust Gates though. Gates is a philanthropist. He wasn't a seedy ass, shady, tech engineer kind of, right? Until his reputation went to shit, and he came out. He went through PR school, got himself a good PR person, and came out as a philanthropist that wants to lower the population of the world, but also wants to save the population of the world through vaccinations. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
That makes good sense.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what really is just like the cherry on the shit sundae of all of this. It's just the fact that when you're talking about, going outside and events and stuff, we keep seeing these like mass protests, and what do you never see? You never see any sort of like concern about it, or nobody in the media is like, oh my God, these BLM protests or these Antifa geez, they're out there spreading, getting in these large groups. God, I wish you don't see any of that. So it just, I mean, that's, for me, that's like the main thing that tells me it's not what they're trying to say.
The virus is virtuous. It can tell if you're virtuous. And if you're virtuous, it will not infect you. So.
Well, right. I think their whole reasoning is, they're fighting racism, and that has interest in the public health. But they're not fighting racism, and you're full of shit. It's just like, they are racist, a lot. Not all of them. There are genuinely good people that have good intentions, but are just dumb.
Ignorant.
Or they're just not informed. Right. They just don't know any better. And they're virtuous. They want to signal their virtue. A lot of people do that without... I probably did it. Maybe I still do it, but before I heard that term, and I look back and it's like, man, yeah, in my more like left-wingy days, man, I was doing that all over the place. I don't know about you guys.
Certainly, yeah. Here's the deal with COVID. Like, let's be honest. It's difficult. The science, once you start to get into I always liken it like this. Like, I can't fix a car to save my life. If I take my car to the garage and they're like, hey man, your Johnson rod broke, it's gonna cost $4,000. I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay. like I don't know. So like when you do a lot of this science stuff, like virology and stuff, the average person doesn't know. So just ask yourself this: if you're watching, you're like, geez, I don't know. I hear that these three talking about something. I hear other people. Just ask yourself this: If you had to name the 3 states that have done worse, just by how many people have died per capita, what would be at least the top 2 is New Jersey and New York, easily, right? Like we know that.
Yeah,
More than 10 times the amount of people per capita have died in New York than Florida. So the premier guy in our country that's leading the scientific fight against this virus, Dr. Fauci, he gets to pick from 50 states to say, which state do we think we should all model ourselves after to do a job? And he points to New York, the worst state. So if that doesn't tell you that everything that guy says is bullshit, I don't know what will. And like you're saying there, Dronetek, I don't swear often. If you watch my video where I said it's war, right, I did drop an F-bomb in this subject. If your argument is, I'm a scientist, I know more than you, large crowds transmit this disease. Oh, but not if the crowd's chanting Black Lives Matter, then it doesn't transmit this disease.
Right.
Fuck you.
Did you see his exchange?
I don't know anything you say after that. You know?
Do you remember his exchange? I think it was with Jim Jordan or Matt Gaetz, one of them. Did you see that when he was doing the hearings here recently? Let's see, Jim Jordan. And he well, yeah, he was pressing him on the whole and he just did not want to say it, man. It was like pulling teeth. It's like, what's going on here? You know, why would he not say that?
Even that answer, right? Like Dronetek, honest to goodness, you know I do a bunch of debates. I'll be doing one Monday here with a bunch of left-wing people, right? Like
I do.
They truly all the time. Oh, all the studies show that the Black Lives Matter protest and riots, they didn't spread the disease. They didn't do it. That's what the studies show. And you just look at them dumbfounded and you're like, okay, even if you believe that, who's the guy we're supposed to trust, Dr. Fauci? Even in that garbage statement that he gave, he was like, I'm just saying gathering in crowds should be discouraged.
Right.
Okay,
like, look at this.
That's the head guy saying it in front of Congress. Don't gather in crowds. So yes, just because a bunch of biased contact tracers lied and said that, oh, no, these crowds don't spread it, doesn't mean that it's not true. It's selfish. If you believe, think of how selfish you have to be to believe, I don't want other people going to work. I don't want them to go to funerals. I don't want them to go to church because there's a virus out there that's so deadly it could wipe us all out. But I'm okay when I want to go out and march for my cause. Think of how selfish it makes you. And they can say what they want. Even if it would be true, which it's not, that it's somehow, if you're marching for Black Lives Matter, somehow the COVID's so smart, it knows not to spread if you're chanting Black Lives Matter. Even if that were true, again, it's not. They didn't know that. When they decided to get in crews of 100,000 and go out and protest, they didn't know that protest wouldn't spread the virus. In fact, all of their leaders, all of their experts said going out and protesting would cause the virus. So it started with a, what's the word I'm looking, selfish. They said, yes, by me going out there, I could spread this disease and kill millions of people. Don't care. I'm important enough, and what I believe is important enough that I don't care.
Yeah. And that's just like, they want to, it's hilarious to me. They want to blame Trump for anybody who's skeptical about what they're hearing, when it's like, once again, it's like, look in a mirror when you're saying that, because Trump, I mean, he may play a part because I'm not guys, I like Trump, but I'm not like a lockstep Trumper. You know, when he does things that I think aren't the smartest thing, I call him out on it. And like, there's been times, I mean, the whole mask thing, it's like, now look, you guys know, and I know a lot of you don't wear masks and you're very against it. My own brothers are that way, and like they get mad at me like when I do wear, like, go to the store and put a mask on or whatever. But I've been saying on my videos for a while that like you should just, I mean, at the beginning anyway, when this all started, that hey, just wear it and it's not that big of a deal, and or whatever. I mean, now I look at it a little bit differently, but for them to say that Trump is to blame for people being skeptical about the masks and everything, I mean, come on, like. It's just like everything that we've said. I mean,
the mask is bullshit. There's been so many studies
I know.
That have proven that your mask is. Now, I will wear a mask sometimes if I'm just running in for something quick and I don't want to deal with any shit, or I don't feel like getting into a conversation with somebody. Then I'll throw a little mask on. I always put it below my nose and like where my lips are sticking out, because and I had one person say to me, "Go, that's not your mask is not doing any. It's not doing any good when it's down there." I go, "It's doing is," and my response was, "It's doing exactly the same amount as yours is doing," which is, you're right, jack shit. And I'm doing this just to come into the store because I need to get my shit, and get out. But masks are. It's all for programming. That's all the masks are there to do, is to program us, to get us on page and to get us ready and to show who are gonna get in line and who aren't gonna get in line. That's all it
I
is.
mean,
It's a mental fucking programming.
Let me just say this real quick. I wear a mask, but the reason I do it is because I do home health care, and basically my employer tells me I have to. So if I feel strongly against it, then I'll quit my job. But I need my money, so I wear a mask, even though I don't think that it's effective. Also, I'll wear a mask if I'm going into a store and I know that it is the store's preference that I wear a mask. So if I'll either avoid that store, which I try to do, or
Same
if I
for
have
me.
to go in, I'll wear a mask. Because I don't want to pick a fight with someone making minimum wage that has to be like, sir, can you
Yeah.
put a mask on and me? This is America.
Right.
Like,
I don't
want
want
to
to. Yeah.
give that person crap. But now let me say this though. You want to know why people are skeptical of masks? You want to know who's to blame? I'll give you someone that's to blame. Go back to late February and check out the Surgeon General of this country releasing a statement that said, masks don't work. Why are you wearing masks? There's no need to wear them. In fact, it could give a false sense of security, which spreads the disease. Leave the masks for nurses and other medical professionals that need them for other reasons.
Right.
Remember, they said that. Dr. Fauci said something very similar. Then later, Dr. Fauci had to admit, well, basically, we lied to you. And the reason we lied to you was we were afraid that people would go out and they would buy all of the masks, and then the nurses and the doctors wouldn't be able to have them. But we did know that masks were effective. We just didn't want to tell you that because we thought that you would go buy them all. So right there, you have the premier medical professional fighting this virus in the country admitting,
Telling us he lied to us.
Your life. We had to, according to his beliefs, we had to risk your life because we wanted to save other people. So that's number one. Number two, isn't there argument that cloth masks, SJG, you do a lot on this, so there are arguments that cloth masks are just as effective, correct? Basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's what they're,
or just as
that's what they're saying.
ineffective, however you want to look at it.
Right. We don't think they're effective. But, okay, so consider this. Let's say that you're a utilitarian and you're Dr. Fauci and you're in February and it's like, geez, we know that masks of all type, cloth masks, handkerchiefs, everything, it would be effective. I'm not saying this is what I believe, but this is what they're claiming, right? It would be effective. They knew this in late February. But we're afraid if we tell people that, they'll run out and buy all the masks and then medical professionals wouldn't get them. So we have to lie to people and say masks aren't effective. Why wouldn't you say this? This is a piece of cloth. Hi, my name's Dr. Fauci, and we know there's been a lot of information about masks. We just want to tell you that, yes, you could be wearing a mask, but you don't need to go out and buy a professional N95 mask. What you could do is get a piece of cloth at your home, maybe an old t-shirt, a handkerchief, and you can put it around your face, and that would work as a mask. Why didn't they say that? Why did they instead say don't wear a mask? You know why? Because masks are bullshit. That's why they didn't say it. That's why. Because they didn't believe that it was safe. But now that they know it could be used as a political tool, and that they're able to blame that and blame Trump and his supporters on supposedly spreading the virus. Now all of a sudden, so what I'm suggesting, and this is a complicated thing for people listening, I'm saying let's hypothetically put ourselves in the world where everything that we're being told is true. If it's correct that Dr. Fauci and all of these experts think masks work, cloth masks, your shirt, handkerchiefs, whatever, they're all effective. And it's true that they had to lie to us because they were afraid we were all going to go out and buy the actual professional mask. Why didn't they instead just tell us, hey, masks do work, but make your own? Why didn't they tell us that? There's only two explanations. Either they're full of it or they want you to die. That's it. That's the only two explanations that fit. And when you bring this up to people, they just look at you like, why don't you just wear a mask? That's not the point. The
I have a
point
third
is,
option.
Here, real quick, let me, I'm putting in the StreamYard's chat some links to some medical, these are medical papers, abstracts, right, on masks that I found, and the danger, how they don't work, and these are going back as far as 2012, and I think one of these studies is done all the way up to 2018. So I put 3 different articles in here. I don't know if you can open them or not, but if you can open them, these are good ones to read on. And I don't know if you can put them in the description of your stream afterwards for people. But, you know, there's some very good articles, and I'll put them up here in my chat too.
For sure.
That just prove that this is all fucking bullshit with the mask, and I can give you some studies, not just articles. I'll give you studies. I'll give people some studies on these. So anyway, go ahead.
All you really need to do is there's tons of videos out there of people using various methods to light up their breath or whatever, and showing with the various masks how much it actually stops. And the answer is pretty much they're all worthless unless you got an N95.
Even with an N95, though.
Right.
Even with
you're wearing it right. You got to be doing everything right. But then it's not 100%.
And the masks for doctors, when they're like, well, why does the doctor wear a mask? That is for, and this has been clearly explained, that is for blood splatter coming up into your face as a doctor and you putting spittle in a close proximity into an open wound, right? Anybody
Right.
who has to sneeze that is not a complete, just dorktard that just completely doesn't have any couth at all, when you
Well,
sneeze, you sneeze here or you sneeze into your arm, right? You don't sneeze
right.
out into the open. So these masks are not doing anything, and even doctors' masks are not stopping a virus. These don't stop the spread of a virus. And cloth masks, going back to what Robert said, they actually did one of these studies I just posted showed the cloth masks.
They're still worthless.
They're not just worthless. They're worse because they're
Right.
trapping bacteria. They're trapping stuff that you're breathing back in. You're touching and fiddling with it. It actually is far, far worse than wearing no mask at all.
Yeah.
But
I'd
look,
say
I
just
want
wash
to be
your
real
hands
clear.
and don't get your hands in your
I
face a
know-
lot. You should be okay.
And I want to be clear. I'm not giving medical advice. I don't know.
Yeah, me
I know
neither,
there are
man.
studies out there. I know that there are studies that say masks work. There's studies that say masks won't. I'm not going to claim to be well read enough on them. And even if I was, you make the decision. That's the beauty of our system. You make the decision that's best for you personally. So don't listen to us and say, oh, I've decided that this is what I'm going to do with my health. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't think that's what you all are saying. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't just blindly trust people that they have your best interests at heart. Because what you should do is, if you have a question about something, there are two experts and they're each saying something disparate. What you should do is say, how do the experts' own arguments jive with their other worldview, right? And so that's what I'm pointing out with this mask situation. With they admit that they lied to you. Now you have to accept. Do you think they lied to you in a way that was effective, in a good faith way? I think that I've clearly proven using their own standard why that's not the case. If they had to lie to you, they would have said use a cloth mask. But they didn't. So they're lying to you then or they're lying to you now. That's my contention. Another thing with this, and it's going to what you're saying, SJG, about the potential for masks being worse.
Right.
I'm trying to give you the tools just the way I think is, and this has to do with my time in debate. I try to win an argument through the least path of resistance. So, for example, I could argue about, the studies on masks and things like that, and that's a worthwhile argument to have. But if I'm arguing with someone about the mask, here's what I'll say to them, right? And feel free to play devil's advocate, Dronetek or SJG, and try to come up with the other side's argument for this. So if you're a lefty, if you're someone who believes in the mask heavily, Dronetek, and I would ask you this, I'd say, okay, you believe that the medical experts talk about masks, right? But isn't it true that that's tertiary? That all of these medical experts say that the most important thing is the social distancing? Isn't that true?
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then argument is, I think that you're a terrible person for not wearing a mask, right? But simultaneously you say, I think it's good that Black Lives Matter violates social distancing orders. What you've done is you are unwilling to accept the rule that your experts say is the most
Right.
important rule to stop this virus. You're willing to violate it as long as you go with this secondary thing. That's the important part. And this is what hypocrites do, right? They say, oh, yeah, like Bernie Sanders will say, the millionaires, the people with large sums of money are immoral and they must pay their fair share, right? That's what Bernie will say. And it's like, hey, dude, you're a millionaire. I just mean people that have more money than me. Like, it's ridiculous. So, they're violating the biggest order, but they say, oh, it's okay because we're virtue signaling about the mask. So it's okay if we violate the biggest order, right? And this leads to exactly what you're talking about, SJG. This is where masks, I will make this point, and even though I'm not giving medical advice, this is where masks could be dangerous. If you think, well, I could disregard everything the medical experts say as long as I'm wearing my mask, that's not healthy. That's garbage. And that's what we see occurring on the left. And I swear, you ask these people, they'll say it. Well, what about Black Lives Matter protests? They'll say they all had hand sanitizers and masks.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's it? Hand sanitizers and masks?
Yeah.
I guess we could open the economy up then, right? No need for the lockdown.
Right.
Tell my friends that lost their restaurants that will never open again. Good news. You don't have to stay shut down anymore. All she needs masks and hand sanitizer. Oh, no.
Yeah.
They need to stay shut down.
Well,
You know-
why are we even talking about mass mail-in voting if the expert, Dr. Fauci, said that everybody should be able to go in and vote? I mean,
Right.
sure, there's going to be people that can't, and we'll get the absentee ballots, but why are we still talking about a mass national mail-in vote? You know, it's absurd to me. And it's just like what you were saying. Like, these same people say, oh, you got to listen to experts. Well, that's what the expert said.
You know
And
what's funny?
Ozzy, real quick, Ozzy Bundy Bear made a good point. If this is so bad, where are all the biohazard bins for the used masks and gloves? Good point.
Right.
I mean, seriously, because I've seen them all over the place. I don't know about you guys.
Here.
You know what happens? They fly out people's windows, I think is what
Yeah.
happens, because it's happened to me
No
a
one
couple
believes
times.
it. No one believes it, and I can prove it to you. You want to know why? I live in a small town I live right outside Clarion, Pennsylvania. Real small town, right? Let's say that Ebola broke out in Clarion, Pennsylvania. You think I'd be at Walmart today?
Right. That's exactly what my point is. If this was bad, if we knew this, I mean, if we saw with our own eyes that this was like fucking killing people left and right, and we're like, shit, you wouldn't need us to tell us to stay home. You wouldn't need to tell us to wash our hands. You wouldn't need to do any of this, because we'd be like, step on my property, I'm going to kill you. Stay away from me. You know what I mean? That's, yeah.
If it's so serious we can't even go to church, do you think that we've seen all those Democratic politicians at John Lewis's funeral?
Right. Right. You want to know
It's
another
garbage.
thing?
We know it.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is that
let me ask you another question, JB. Just real quick. If you thought that people not wearing a mask could spread a deadly virus that could destroy you and your entire family, would you get in their face and film them while you screamed at them for not wearing a mask?
fuck no. I'd be like,
You'd run the other way, right?
Right,
Is that what
exactly.
you do?
Right. No, it is, and so it's just it's basically just raising a whole generation or a whole herd of Karens and of brown shirts that want to virtue signal and shame and anger, take their anger out that the government and all this thing caused on your life, take it out on other people because they are thinking for themselves, and I think that also points out somewhere in their psyche that somebody would have independent thoughts upon what the media and the government and the gods have told us to think, and it makes them outraged and angered. But one other thing I wanted to add to that, it's so funny, is it a mask to stop breathing stuff in, or is it a face shield? Because now I've been watching all these dork freaking Mohammed Aloha snack bar dork tards running around with masks on. I mean, that's something Mohammed Aloha snack bar would wear. And I literally had somebody at Plaid Pantry tell me, I had my mask down over my nose, and they had a screen on. They just had a plexiglass shield on their face with a plexiglass shield in between us. And she had enough freaking balls. I think it was a she. It might have been a he. It might have been a he, she. I don't know. But they said to me, that'd probably be their preferred pronoun. They said to me, can you please pull your mask up over your nose? And I'm like, I will as soon as you put a mask on. And I'm like, you fucking moron. You have a plastic shield over your face. There's a plastic shield in front of us, and yet you want me to pull my shield. Obviously, you're not worried about airborne anything. You're worried about projectiles. So you're worried it's going to get through two sheets of freaking plastic, and that I'm going to be enough of an asshole to just go, achoo, and sneeze shit everywhere, even if I had to. There's no logical... They can't stop and logically think any of this shit out for themselves. And that's what's driving me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's not just that topic either.
Right, so they can't, again, if you talk to these people, they can't even get a coherent story. For example, I thought from debating enough people on the left on this, that the argument was the mask isn't to protect you, it's to stop spittle from coming out and you spreading a virus, right? Okay, that's what they told me. Fair enough. Then when Herman Cain dies, the left couldn't wait to be like, oh, he got COVID because he wasn't wearing a mask at a Trump rally. What the hell does that matter?
Right.
The mask wouldn't protect. Now, if your argument was, well, Herman Cain could have spread the disease to other people because he wasn't wearing a mask, at least that's a logically consistent argument. But that wasn't the argument. The argument was Herman Cain got COVID because he wasn't wearing a mask. But your entire argument is, well, the mask won't protect you, it protects other people. So what the hell did Herman Cain not wearing a mask have to do with him getting COVID? Nothing. Yeah. They can't even keep their narrative straight.
They don't need to.
That's a good point, though. That's a good way to think that. I never even thought of it like, I never thought of flipping the argument like that. That's good. I'm going to write that down.
Just real quick,
is the stream working?
About the voting, right? Here's another way that this. I think Dronetek and SJG, you share my anger with this. I don't mind people that disagree with me, as long as you're logically consistent, as long as you're not a hypocrite. Right? So there is a way to not be a hypocrite with this. You could say, theoretically, I think we need these lockdowns. I think we need social distancing. And when Black Lives Matter violated that, I'm against it too. Now, I might disagree with you, but at least that's a logically consistent position, right? But what you can't say is, I don't think that you should be allowed to go to your non-essential job. I don't think that you should be able to go to church, but I support Black Lives Matter. going out and violating. That's not consistent. And so we see this constantly. That's my anger with a lot of these morally preening people. I'm not claiming that I know more than you. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just saying it's clear from your position and from the medical experts and the political leaders on your side that they aren't taking this seriously because they're not advocating intellectually consistent positions. Here's another example when it comes to voting. I'm supposed to believe that supposedly Donald Trump is personally stealing mailboxes and crushing the U.S. Postal Service because he thinks that mail-in voting because of COVID will be up and that will cause him to lose. Stupid as it gets, but fine, whatever. That's the argument. Trump's trying to dissuade people from mail-in voting, and therefore that proves that he's corrupt. Well, as you correctly point out, SJG, their own expert, Dr. Fauci, said that it's safe to vote in person, right? That happened. Is anyone in this chat or any of you or anyone listening to this, are you willing to challenge me on this point? Take fraud out of the equation because I don't want to get in an argument about that. If you are going to vote, what is the most effectual way that you're to make sure that your vote's counted? What would that style of voting be?
Be in person. Walk your happy little corona-fitted ass into the fucking thing. Go put your behind the curtain, pull the thing or whatever you do.
Paper ballot.
Right. Yeah, piss all over the ballot and give it back to them.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Even if you think, yep. Yeah.
I knew the answer to that, though.
I just want to say I don't understand Trump's messaging real quick on this because he's focusing on the fraud when really he should be focusing on the fact that most people's, a large percentage of people's votes are going to be lost. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so I think they're setting him up. I think they're set. You know what? I said Trump wasn't going to win. Now, after I've watched the DNC convention, okay, so quick story here.
We should talk about that too.
So yeah, let's kind of segue. I watched.
Let me finish this point real quick.
Robert, God damn it, I'm talking right now.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Go ahead.
Robert. Just kidding. Go ahead, Robert. I'll segue after you're done. No, you go. You go, Robert.
If the argument is that Trump is against mail-in voting, and therefore he wants less people to vote, which side is it that's dissuading people from voting in the most effective way?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get either. It's like,
out there going,
are you idiots out there? Yeah, I don't understand why so many people are like, yeah, we need to mail in vote. It's like, and it's funny. I've gotten into a couple arguments on Twitter with people.
I know why, and I'll tell you why. I got a conspiracy.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'll mention that. I'm like, why aren't you more worried about votes being lost in the mail? Because we've never done it this way, and then suddenly they drop off. It's like they didn't think of it.
Here's my conspiracy theory. They are planning on the people who picked the president, which isn't us, are wanting Trump to be in office because they're not quite done dividing the nation and causing total and complete turmoil in our nation. So they're pushing the mail-in voting because they want to be able to make sure Trump does win because they want that fucking division because they want to see the country burn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to bring it up here. I thought I had it up, but you should hear some of the rhetoric coming from the media right now about, oh, if Trump wins, it'll be the end of democracy. And, Trump and his supporters, they don't want to do away with democracy as our form of government, even though that's not our form of government. It's, and it's like, they're really pouring that on. Joy Reid said something like, if Trump wins, it'll damage our democracy forever. Like, they're already setting it up so that if he does win, they're gonna it's gonna be, man, you guys think it's bad now. I always wonder, there's no way it can get worse than this. It can get worse.
And let me just say, just going back to what I was saying there. So taking fraud out of it, we know that the numbers are plain as day. You can see as high as 7% of ballots are rejected or lost. So if the Democrats are the party for we want every vote to count, correct? Then why wouldn't they be suggesting in-person voting? Well, because of COVID. Okay, then fine. Let's delay the election until COVID's done. Right? We want to make sure everyone's votes counted. Go ahead, say that to them. See how much they give a shit about counting every vote then. Their heads will explode. Delay the election? That's authoritarian. You can't do that. Oh my God. Now all of a sudden counting every vote doesn't matter, does it? Come hell or high water, the first Tuesday in November, that vote needs to happen. Because that's the Democrats' chance to get power. So they don't care.
Right.
Don't make up every excuse in the world. Whatever it takes, as long as we have our chance to get power. That's how you can
They're throwing everything at it, man. They're throwing everything at it. They are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pulling out every damn stop.
So I have something to say here. Why I think the DNC actually is trying to lose. They pick Biden, right? They pick Kamala, the two horrible fucking candidates. Horrible fucking candidates, right? That are just, even between them, is completely ridiculous. If you go back to listen to what Kamala Harris had to say the other day, or back during the debates about her running mate, right? But then you look at what their shit show. Who put together those live streams? That was the cheesiest shit I have ever seen in my entire life. We could put together a better, more well-produced stream than what the DNC did. They had that one gay boy tranny dude up there singing that Buffalo Springfield song. And so I had my video blog. I hadn't watched any of it. I watched highlights of it, but I didn't watch any of it live until last night or the night before. Thursday night, when I caught the very tail end of the DNC. It was Joe Biden. It was Joe Biden's YouTube channel, and it was the after party. And they had this cheesy ass DJ on a Costco foldable table that was folded out. You didn't no tablecloth over this table. Just a folded out Costco table, right? 1995 table they got at Costco. He had his mix and stuff on there. He looks like he just got him off the street. And he's DJing all these stupid ass songs. And he's, doing this. And he's wickety, wickety, whack, whack, whack. Oh, yeah. And then he leans up to the mic. He's like, all right, make sure you guys all get out there and vote, man. We got to get Biden in office. Wickety, wickety, whack. All right, guys, we got to get Kamala in office. Kamala's the best. Whack, whack, wickety, whack, 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 whack. And this is their after party on Joe Biden's YouTube page. And there's 8,000 people watching this stream. He has 127,000 subscribers, and 8,000 people are on this stream watching the DNC after party on his channel. And I'm like, are they? And it is so bad. The green screen isn't even right. He's got a green screen behind him. The coloring isn't even right on his green screen. This is the freaking DNC. And then they do the stupid thing where he shoots up like a rocket and he's flying through the air, right? And he looks at the camera and he puts his mask over his neck gate over his nose and he smiles at the camera and then he's flying and then they put him back into the green screen and he does some more wiggity whacking. And that's their after party. And you're telling me these are serious people that seriously want to win this election? Fuck no. I think they're trying to lose. I think they're trying to lose.
Well,
because
I wonder.
Wouldn't be hard to beat Trump.
Biden's a terrible candidate. I wonder. Kamala's terrible. They're both terrible.
Terrible.
And I don't get it. And but they're trying real hard to hide him. It seems like they want to win. I don't know. They're really trying hard to cover for him.
I understand that conspiracy theory of it. I do think they're trying to win, though. But I can see what you're saying. There could be truth to it. But they're trying. So you might think, if they're trying to win, how do you explain this? You want to know how I explain it? Because you want to know what makes us people, say what you will about us. You want to know what makes us be able to defend our position, even if we're wrong about something, because we're constantly challenged. Because every institution in this country is geared towards disagreeing with every word we say. And so if you're not the correct skin color, or if so if you're white, if you're Asian, whatever, or if you have the wrong political belief, you're conservative, you're constantly being challenged, right? That's the truth. The reason that the DNC is so terrible is they have all of this backing. They don't have to be good. Like Van Jones said it best, right? Hey, Joe Biden could have came down, as long as he didn't fall flat in his face and, mumble and stutter through and start drooling on himself, we were going to say that this was the greatest speech ever. But by the way, this was the greatest speech ever. So Van Jones, admits, yeah, we were going to pee on your leg and lie about the speech no matter what. But, but it honestly was great,
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to find that because that is great. Yeah. You're right about that, because Van Jones this isn't the first time. I wonder about that guy sometimes. Van Jones is an interesting character because he has done that on multiple occasions where he gives up the goods, and it makes me think he's doing it on purpose. But let me find that clip real quick.
Yeah, and just real quick, but SJG, to me, that applies to everything. It's we'll just half-ass it. We'll just phone in. We don't care. What's it matter how good we do? We could put on the best DNC time, or we could put on the crappiest phoned-in one, and the media reaction is going to be the exact same. The way that they don't care anymore. They've realized that there are a certain section of this population that no matter what the truth is, they could just straight up lie to, and they will be believed.
Well, yeah, that's the situation we're in. But yeah, because I love this. I'm glad you brought it up, Robert. I want to show this real quick.
That sound that you hear all across the country.
Can you guys hear that?
Is the sound
Yeah.
of Democrats.
Turn up the-
exhale. That's what that is.
Hold on, it's coming through. Let me let me fix this. Oh, okay, hold on. No, I see what's wrong here. Speakers. Speaker. There we go.
Something happening.
Here we go.
Let's start with you. Yeah.
Can you hear it now?
That sound that you hear all across the country is the sound of Democrats exhaling. That's what that is. People would have accepted anything. We just wanted Joe to get out there. So, sometimes when he gets out there, you're afraid he's going to make a mistake. He's going to have a gap. Because the expectations are so low. Very tough to do politics. Very tough to do attack and contrast. It's authentic. It was an extraordinary for it to be a terrible speech. As long as he didn't embarrass himself, we were going to come out here and praise it.
Hold on, listen to what he says here.
It was an extraordinary speech. And we were prepared for it to be a terrible speech. As long as he didn't embarrass himself, we were going to come out here and praise it. You don't have to make nothing up tonight.
Holy shit! I didn't watch this.
You don't have to make up nothing tonight. Like
We thought it was going to be a terrible speech, but we were pleasantly surprised.
well, and he said we don't have to make up nothing. Like he's openly admitting that if it would have been a bad speech, CNN would have been on there bullshitting, like saying that it was good. That's what he just admitted.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, imagine that. Like, I just take politics out of it for a side. Take partisanship out of it. Just know this: in 2020, one of the people that at least has a 50% shot, just 50-50, two parties. One of the leaders of one of those parties that could be the most powerful elected leader in the world. It is considered a victory that he didn't soil himself on stage. I mean, I don't know what more to say. If that's not an admission of how pathetic that ticket is, I mean, wow, Joe Biden was able to read for 18 minutes. Woo! We
didn't embarrass us.
Oh, God. Dude, some of those highlight videos. Some of those highlight videos from the DNC stuff that I watched was just like staggering because I heard all the news every day about the previous night's DNC, whatever. I watched a couple of those highlight videos. He literally looks so confused on some of the stuff, like where he's like, is now the time I put the mask on? Do I put it on now? Like, it is unfucking believable that this guy is, and I mean, I almost feel like it's the deep state laughing at us, though, going, once he is elected, if he's elected, you all know who's really running this shit. It ain't fucking Joe Biden. Oh my God, it ain't Joe Biden. I almost feel like they're laughing behind the curtain.
Of course they are. I warned people of this, and this was an unpopular opinion for our crowd. Make no mistake about it. I'm voting for Trump. I support Trump, right? But this was unpopular when I said this. I said, ask yourself this. If Donald Trump loses in 2020, right? And what was really accomplished was this. He outed, the mere fact that he was there, outed how corrupt the system is. It outed the media for just being propagandists. It outed our intel agency for engaging in a coup against Donald Trump. If Trump loses in 2020 and none of the intel agents that engaged in a coup against our president are held to account, ask yourself this seriously. Would it have been better if Hillary Clinton won? Because you know what's happening? You know what's really happening? The deep state's breathing a sigh of relief. And the sigh of relief is this. Holy cow. Everybody knows how corrupt we are and no one gives a shit. Right. Isn't that great? Now we can just we used to have to take our time and operate behind the scenes. Now we can send John Brennan out as a correspondent for CNN to talk about how great the CIA and their shadow wars are. And everybody eats it up and they say, oh yeah, Brennan, the guy that was engaged in that coup. Yep, we'll listen to what he has to say on Anderson Cooper's show. Yeah, sounds good to me. The CIA, these intel agents, they have to be losing it. They can't believe their luck. So wait, because at first, like, what did Hillary supposedly say? We're all going to hang if Trump gets. Now they're all laughing like, can you believe we were worried? These people in this country are so dumb that they now know there was a coup and they're like, well, whatever. We don't really care about it. And so I agree with you, Stagey. I think, right. So it's like, we'll send Joe Biden out there. We'll send some guy out there that's basically drooling on himself and watch people be like, yay, there's a guy doing it right. He didn't wet himself on stage. What a hero. Can you believe that? Yeah, the guy running for president.
You know why?
Dronetek.
Real quick. Yeah.
Can you? I just sent the last link I put in the chat there in the private chat. Is there any way you can open that up and share that full screen? This goes along
Yeah.
with what we were saying about the voting. See if you can pull that out. This is
Yeah,
funny.
but yeah, I will. I did say though that it seems like people are being like conditioned, and and I've noticed this in other instances, but it's like the media really pours on the fear and all that when a Republican. They did the same thing when Bush was president, and then they kind of put out this idea to people that it can all stop. It can all stop. You just got to vote for this guy, and it's like you feel this pain like constantly. They these people who aren't as critically thinking as we are, or aren't as informed. A lot of these people, especially the ones who think that the world's going to end in 12 years from climate change, these people are basket cases, and so the media can just like whip these people up constantly, and then once if they do what they're being kind of indoctrinated to do, and they vote for who they're supposed to, the media will let off, and suddenly it'll be like, everything's cool. Oh, we're good. Same thing happened between Bush and Obama. Literally, man, I'm telling you, I've talked about this before. The next day from the Bush administration, Obama, man, they were just like, everything was fine. High gas prices. Yeah, we were just raging about that constantly for months. But now, just think about it. It helps the environment that we're not driving.
Right.
And it's just like,
get in your time machine. See if you can remember this. A time before COVID and George Floyd. Ooh, you remember that? Way back eons ago, right? Ask yourself, let's go back to January. What was the biggest story? If you talk to your Trump-hating friends, what was the biggest story in the country? It was unprecedented. It was unique. It's proved that the dangers of Donald Trump. Did you know that Donald Trump is so horrible and so evil, he had to be impeached? Did you know that? Did you hear all the talk of impeachment at the convention? Oh, wait, it wasn't brought up one time? How can that be? That was the biggest story in the world, right?
True.
And that's what they feed you. They feed you this crap. Oh, my God, this is the biggest story in the world. This is it. The story we told you last week, okay, this is 50,000 times worse. Impeachment, 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 impeachment. So much so, it wasn't even mentioned. Not one time at the DNC convention. Just like when if Joe Biden gets elected, you're not going to hear about George Floyd. You're not going to hear about COVID. It'll all mysteriously disappear until the next election, and then we'll start talking about racism and stuff like that again. It's always the same every single time.
No, we're just led around like little. Once you realize what's going on, or you start to, and because even though we think we're catching on to what's happening, who knows? You know, we could be being misled again.
Let me read you guys this one. Hang on.
It seems like sometimes.
I don't know. Let me make it like this. Okay, let me read you this. This is a great meme. Liberals. Homeschooling deprives kids of socialization. Same liberals. Let's make kids wear masks and stay 6 feet apart. Oh. Are you guys there?
I'm still here. I don't know what happened to Jerome.
I was trying to be a producer there. Sorry. I was trying to make you full screen.
It's good.
That's so true, though. It's so true, man. I love memes for that. They bring the truth, you know.
They are, yeah. That one I just had up, and I posted a tweet about that when it's like, folks, look at these people. They're mass protesting in the streets about how they have to mail in vote because it's too dangerous to go vote.
Yeah, I know.
And you wonder, like this is the things I ponder about constantly. I'm just like, do these people know that, like, do they realize like what they're doing is stupid, or are they really just like that oblivious? Are they just like
they're really that stupid?
The media is the same way. Like when Kaylee got in that McKinney, or I'm saying her name wrong, when she got in that exchange with the ABC reporter about BLM and Goodyear, and she's like, but BLM is just against racial injustice. And it's like, come on, like, you got to know there's more to it than that. You got to. And if you don't, it's like, why are you in this job? How did you get this job? And really either answer, it's like, how are you in this job? If you didn't know about it, why? And you should know about it, but you're acting like you don't. So like either way, you should not be in this position.
Did you guys see this on the DNC stuff where they had Kamala Harris had that picture?
Oh yeah.
And they have right here, they got the same picture up like 3 different squares. It's like Hollywood squares, but the same. That's ridiculous. That's hilarious to me. I can't believe that went
Yeah.
more unnoticed than it did. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, of course it went unnoticed. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is something else I've talked about is how the media, like, they'll make it so they'll talk about the right-wing media and how it's fringe and conspiracy and the fever swamp and all this kind of stuff, and then they won't report on stories that are inconvenient to whatever their agenda is, and then those other news sources will cover that, but then it's like people ignore it because they think it's like conspiracy theory Alex Jones shit or something. That's what's happening. And so like a lot of people, even if they'll see it with their own eyes, you'll show it to them, that it's like that there's like this programming where they think somehow it's not real or you're not presenting it correctly or something, and so they're very distrustful of it, and it just seems like that's our country. We're all very paranoid and distrustful of everything, almost like maybe this is being done on purpose.
No.
I mean, that it's like that the KGB dude said, the guy that left the KGB, there's a word for that, defected. I always forget about that. The guy that defected from the KGB in the 80s, was telling, he gave interviews and said, yeah, that we are ideologically subverting your country right now. They're doing it right now.
Yeah.
And you look, he described it, and it's like, this is what's happening. But it's like, it's our own media and our own parties doing it to us. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's yeah,
because like the gaslighting and all that, I mean, it's so funny. Like I just started using gaslighting constantly because I thought I knew what it meant, and I guess I sort of did, but then I found out what it actually meant, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. It's like I would just constantly marvel that the media would just lie to my face while smiling. It's like, what in the hell? What is this? It's gaslighting. It's being done on purpose.
Well, and listen, for me, the big story, they didn't mention impeachment. That was big. A lot of what you didn't see that was shown in prime time at the DNC convention, such as kind of the, defund the police, white people are evil, that crap. That extremism was going, not in prime time, and that's the way they do it. Again, my experience is debating people that believe these positions on the left, and they come at you initially with this very moderate face. Oh no, it's not about getting rid of all police. Oh, it's not about attacking capitalism.
Right.
Oh no, we're against all violence. And then as soon as you start talking for a little, the mask starts to slip, and all of a sudden, well, yeah, the violence is okay, just like the Revolutionary War. Of course, we'll never have a fair system with capitalism. Right. So that was the one big story. The other big story was this. What is the central tenet of Joe Biden's speech? If there was one criticism that he's leveling at Donald Trump, what is the example he gives that is the most crucial indictment of Trump? Like, for me, it was obvious. It's one situation. It's Donald Trump said Nazis were good people.
Oh yeah.
That's what Joe Biden said in his speech, right? That's what he said. That's BS. That's a lie. Like, that is one of the Scott Adams, who I follow.
There's a video. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. That that's one of my favorites.
Scott Adams is great. You guys should follow him on YouTube and Periscope. He talks about, and I agree with him, that this is the most damaging lie potentially in the history of a political campaign. Because what this goes back to when I was pushing back in 2015, 2016. Is it okay to punch a Nazi? No, it's not okay to punch a Nazi. And you want to know why? Because the next thing you'll say once you say yes is, oh, and everyone I disagree with is a Nazi. Therefore, you justified political violence. We have justified political violence of people that we call racist, particularly people that are in the KKK or neo-Nazis, right? And we therefore justify violence against anyone who defends them. By spreading this lie that Donald Trump, and thereby his supporters through, supporting him, think that some Nazis are good people, you are having an indirect call to violence against Trump and against his supporters, because people believe this crap. And so they hear that and they go, oh my God, the president's a Nazi. I have to fight back. Now it makes sense why cities are being burnt down. Now it makes sense why so much violence is being directed. Yes. Yeah. And the fact that even Fox News didn't call this obvious lie out. They let it go. The biggest, most harmful lie in politics.
Hey guys, can I interject for a second?
Well, yeah.
Can you make my screen full screen on the stream? Can you go to me full screen? Is there a way to do that, producer? Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, it's done. You're full screen.
Okay. This is awesome. I'm sorry to interject when you guys were having a very good, important conversation, but so Don King and Beetlejuice had a baby. That's amazing. Is that not an amazing meme? Please. Okay.
That is. That's a good one. I love it. She's hilarious. She looks like Beetlejuice. I mean, it's
She
like
does. And this
unmistakable.
dumb bitch, I'm sorry, man. This dumb bitch literally just came out and said, you guys probably all heard about it. She literally said she stopped protesting on her block. Protesting's fine everywhere else, but you can't protest on my... She has a right to be safe. She has a right to be safe. Anyways, carry on.
No, but I do want to say something about that because it is a topic that I've been on, and it's not just that one. There's other ones that they've used in a similar way. They've tried to gain traction with them, like calling immigrants animals and all that. They really tried with this same sort of thing. And you're right, it's mind-boggling because it's like we have a watch the press conference. It's like 30 minutes long. Watch it. There's actually a part of that press conference that doesn't get played very often, but because of the last time Biden said it, I watched the whole thing again. And near the end, he's like even more laying it on. He's like, look, he's like, I hate, he's like, these people are horrible people. I'm not like praising them. And he goes on to say, what happened there was a horrible event. It was horrible for this country. But not only there's a couple of weird things about the whole Charlottesville thing. So not only the fact they keep lying, and you can literally, like, there's a transcript. Read the transcript. Watch the video. I posted the video a million times, a million people. They still deny it. It's like you can never. It's going to be ingrained into people's brains from here on out. And it's like you were saying, it's one of the worst lies told. It's definitely like one of the main reasons people think that he's a racist and that kind of thing. And to that point, where was I going with that? I had a point, but I forgot.
I'm sorry. I'm probably throwing you off and throwing memes at my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
No, I remember. I just remembered. The last thing I want to say about that. Sorry. So that girl, what was her name? Heather something?
Heather.
That was killed.
Hyatt
or Hyler or something like that.
Higher.
So it's horrible that she's still there, right? And it's terrible that any person's life is lost. And yet, look at, first of all, she's white, and it's weird how they talk about that because they act. If you didn't know any better, you would think she was black that was killed there. But it's weird how they've made this central like American moment, and yet look at what has gone on since these BLM Antifa riots started. And another thing I want to talk about is how Robert was saying how, these people, no wonder people are rioting. And that's something I talked about before all this started. I was warning people, if you go back and look at some of my videos, I'm talking about how the media keeps calling Trump an existential threat. And it's like if you get people to really believe that he's literally an existential threat, you can justify anything. Like literally anything goes at that point, like warfare, terrorism, murder, like whatever. Like, and that comes into, punch a Nazi and just basically anybody you disagree with is a Nazi. This is how this is all going to spiral out of control, I think, into an actual civil war, which like Steven said, or like SAG said, a civil war would be horrible. It would be the end of this country. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I have kids. I don't want a civil war to start.
Yeah.
But that's where we're headed.
So
if this all continues. Anyway, go ahead.
Is my screen sharing?
I'm like losing my voice. Oh, look, who do we have here? Oh, yeah.
My screen sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. This is me on the website above Top Secret.
Yeah,
right? So this is what I want to do. I want to go through. Now, I want you to. You might not know this, even if you're a Trump supporter, exactly what happened in Charlottesville. So it happens, and Trump almost immediately responds that night or the next day, right? So I want to remember the media heard this first speech and went nuts and said this was Trump being a racist. Right. Let me just read this real quick. What Trump said. Right. This is day one. He gave 3 speeches. Right.
No, I just want to say, like, if you watch that speech, and maybe we should put it up, but the press corps, you can hear them, like the stuff they're saying. They're very combative, and they're obviously already trying to they're like, oh my God, this is a Nazi march. There's no good people. And he's like, I'm not talking about them. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is what they freaked out. This is Trump's first speech. quote, but we're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides, It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. It's been going on for a long time. It has no place in America. What is vital now is swift restoration of law and order and protection of innocent lives. No citizen should ever fear for their safety and security in our society. No child, blah, blah, blah. I just got off the phone with Governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, and we agreed that the hate and division must stop now. We have to come together as Americans. Above all else, we must remember this truth. No matter what our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first. We love our country. We love our God. We love our flag. We're proud of our country. We're proud of who we are. So we want to get the situation in Charlottesville straightened out. We want to see what happened, what we're doing as a country. My administration is restoring the sacred bonds of loyalty between this nation and citizens. We must love each other, respect each other, cherish our history and future together. So important. We have to respect each other. And again, going back to Charlottesville, we have to heal the wounds of our country. These wounds have been going on for a really long time. And I thought everybody thought that we want to heal, etc. So there, you can see he's condemning separation based on skin color. That wasn't enough, though, right? That wasn't enough. They said, you didn't specifically call out the KKK, right? That's what they said. Second speech of Donald Trump. Based on the events that took place in the weekend in Charlottesville, I'd like to provide the nation with an update. I met with Chris Ray. Someone got killed. To anyone who acted criminally in this weekend's racist violence, you will be held fully accountable. Justice will be delivered. As I said on Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. And as I've said many times before, no matter the color of our skin, we all live under the same laws. We all salute the same flag. We must love each other, show affection. We must discover the bonds of loyalty. Racism is evil. And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you guys hear anywhere in there? Did it seem that he was paying lip service? Did he seem he was paying lip service to Nazis? I didn't hear it. So that's twice. That's two speeches back-to-back Trump gave where he said, we condemn racism, we condemn this hatred, we condemn this violence. The media is still going nuts. Trump hasn't called out the KKK enough. He hasn't called out neo-Nazis enough. So he gives a third speech where he's talking about the economic successes of his administration, and the crowd, the press polls just going nuts. You're a racist, Mr. Trump, you're a racist. So he continues to comment. Here's what he said in the third speech. He said, those people, all of those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups. But not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch.
But I guess I don't know how to pay for it.
Go
ahead.
Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. But it's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in the group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them unfairly. Sit down. Let me see if I can stop screen sharing.
Right. And
those are the three speeches that Donald Trump gave. Was there anywhere in there where he said neo-Nazis were good people?
Okay.
Anywhere? He specifically said.
Okay, I'll do that.
He specifically says not the neo-Nazis, not
right.
In all three
you're gonna
speeches,
have to pay, you're gonna have to pay when you get there.
He
And not
calls
just
out
that.
the neo-Nazis by name in the part of.
Right, and not just that, and this is another part of the reason that they continue this lie, because he actually goes into great detail about who he's talking about and why he's talking about them. And he even includes people who want to take down the statues but weren't part of Antifa or BLM, were just regular people out there who may have who thought that they should take down the statue. And he then goes on to say, hey, the same logic, he doesn't say these words, but he's like, you're changing history, and then he's talking about who's next. George Washington and Jefferson, they were slave owners. And then actually you can hear Jim Acosta like, oh, they're not the same thing. Or he says something to that effect like, oh, no, they're not the same thing. And then it's funny because after that, there was all these news stories and news pieces where that's how they framed it. Oh, Trump was comparing our founders to Confederate generals. It's like, no, that's not what he was doing. He was making a point that the logic that you're using will be used to take down Jefferson and Washington and whatever else, right? And what ended up happening, it's funny, you can, and I've done videos about this, but you can, there's all these news broadcasts where they're so smug. They're like, Trump's so dumb. He doesn't know that our founders are nothing like the Confederate soldiers, so they won't be targeted next. He's so dumb. And yet what happened? Exactly that. And we all knew, everybody knew that was going to happen. And they've gone further. They've gone for Mount Rushmore, and they've eventually American flag will be on chopping block. And this should not be surprising because this has been a plan that they've
Okay.
been executing for a long time.
okay,
Michelle
all right,
Obama openly said in that famous speech that, oh, we're going to have to change our history and our culture and our traditions. And that's something, guys, everybody out there watching, I'm pretty sure everybody watching this knows that's what they're doing. But make no mistake, it is real, and that is what they're doing.
And this is what was happening, right? You have to understand the context of Trump's speech. Trump comes out immediately in the first speech. He condemns racism, he condemns the violence, etc. Then they press, you got to say more, you got to say more. You didn't say Nazis are bad specifically. So then he comes out and says, okay, the Nazis are bad specifically. That wasn't enough, Mr. Trump. Why did you wait 2 days to say Nazis are bad? Like, imagine if you did this in, I don't know, the case, imagine if you did this in the case of Nick Sandy, right? So the media goes nuts over the Covington kids, right? Because he smirked at a Native American. Why did it take the media? I don't know. Why did the media never say, oh, by the way, the adult black racists that were yelling homophobic and racial slurs at the kids, they're terrible people. Why didn't the media say that? Shouldn't they have to specifically condemn it? Or how come Barack Obama didn't have to specifically condemn, I don't know, when he's taking pictures with Louis Farrakhan? Or why didn't, when the funeral of George Floyd, I still don't know why I'm like basically the only person I've heard in the country say this, go watch the funeral of George Floyd and watch the pastor that's doing the service, or at least one of the spokesmen that's doing the service, praise the security guards there. You know who the security was?
Farrakhan, yeah.
It was Farrakhan. It was the Nation of Islam. You know, the same group that says Jews are termites and white people are evil and they're a black nationalist movement. But our mainstream media, they had no problem with that. The Democrats and the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter people piling around with black, anti-Semitic, anti-white racists had no problem with that. So why is it that Trump, but then Trump gives in. He says, fine, I'll give a second speech where I specifically mention neo-Nazis. Then it becomes, oh, but it took you 2 days to say neo-Nazis are bad. Okay. So then he comes out in a press conference that has nothing to do with Charlottesville, and they demand he say more. And he specifically says, yeah, there were good and bad people. Why did Trump say that? Like, what was the context? Why did Trump say that? You want to know why Trump said that? Because the media was glorifying Antifa.
Yep.
That's why.
He was trying to bring that out because
That's exactly right. Because Trump saw the writing on the wall and he was like, dude, okay, I get it. The white supremacists in Charlottesville, no one likes them. They're scummy. We hate them. But let's not pretend that everyone that was against them that was there must be good people. Because if we start to glorify these violent thugs that showed up with ball bats and shields to engage in mutual combat, they're going to start to be able to spread their message further and think that it's okay for them to do this. And that's exactly what we see happening. Now cities are burning down. Why? Because Republicans were cowards and allowed Trump. They didn't stand up for Trump when they should have. When they should have said, yes, these are anti-American communists and we reject them too. We're not going to ignore it just because they happen to be against the white supremacists that time. And so for doing the right thing in that instance, Trump, could he have worded it better? Of course. But he was right in spirit. He condemned the racism. He was right in spirit. And now we're paying the price.
I mean, you can put me backstage for a second because I'm going to order Chinese for my wife because this wouldn't be a Saturday fucking stream if my wife didn't call me in the middle of it. So you can put me backstage if you don't want to hear me. I'm going to order it.
We're just going to talk trash on SJG then.
I'll be able to hear you. I'll be able to hear you.
Hey, I do.
But like you're saying, Dronetek. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, real quick, before we start off on that, I just kind of want to go through the comments here because we lost some people, and I think it's probably because we're not paying attention to them. They need us paying attention. So let's see what we got here. We got Lightfoot got 77% of the vote in the midterms. Yeah, seriously. What? Like who sees that person as like it's a total virtue vote? They're like, oh man, if I vote for this person, I'm really a good person, and obviously voting for this person will mean the best results because
I'm not muting.
You know, it's just it's part of the brainwashing. But let's see here. They hate Lizard Lori, do they?
I'm not muting my stream, guys. You guys
see, and this is what I always talk about. It's like if you turn on the news any given moment, you're probably gonna see them.
Appreciate you guys
talking bad about Republicans or Trump, one or the other.
There's
there's never a moment where you're gonna turn on the news and they're doing that to Democrats. Any Democrat, even like we were talking about earlier, all the worst COVID responses in this country are from from blue states, and yet. They hail Andrew Cuomo as some sort of COVID god, you know. But what were you gonna say there?
Okay, so the first one
Robert?
I want is your. I want to do three
just
dinner
like
combos.
you were saying.
Okay.
The fact that we had a chance to stand up to this obvious thuggish brown shirts of the Democratic Party early. Of course, the Democrats weren't going to stand up to them. You know, they laughed at us. Oh, they'll never come from us, you know, our founding fathers. We knew it.
The second one
we were talking about it back then. We knew. Are we special? No. We just saw what was happening. We knew,
Subgum
right? And you can
chow-
see, and you're
subgum
like,
chow mein
again, I can't stress
with
this enough. I've
sweet
been
and
saying this.
sour
What I just typed to you, what I
chicken,
just screen shared was from the
both
website above
sweet and
Top
sour
Secret that
chicken
we were
for
both on
both
at
of
one
my
point.
sides,
That was 2017. That was like the
and
week
egg
after
flour
Charlottesville.
soup.
I was writing
Yep.
about, like,
And then
whoa, you
the
can't see
final
what's
one is
going
going
on
to
here.
be
You
hot and
can't see
sour
how this is
soup
the left using an
with
excuse. And keep in
barbecue
mind,
pork
that
fried
incident of
rice.
Charlottesville, am I saying that it wasn't newsworthy? Of course
I'm
it was
going to
newsworthy.
have sweet
Someone
and sour
died. It's worth
chicken
covering that. And I have no love for the white supremacists.
and
Just
fried
fighting with a couple of them before I came on with you. I have no
and
love for white
kung pao chicken.
supremacists or white nationalists. I don't at all.
And
So that's
then my
fine. The
wife
media wanted
is
to cover it.
coming.
But
She's
we
in a
have to
van,
pretend
and
that there
she's
are
gonna
white
pay when she
nationalists
gets
around
it.
every corner now. Oh my God,
Right.
they use it. This is like a mantra of theirs now. What about Charlottesville? Oh, 30 people have died in the riots as a result of Black Lives Matter since
Oh.
George Floyd's death.
Right,
Yeah, but
exactly.
Charlottesville.
Okay, so
Okay,
Right,
yeah,
where's
that was
that?
bad. Everyone condemned that.
Well, I'd have
Name
to
one
go
person that
inside
was like,
different
what happened to Heather
corner.
Heyer was good. Other than white supremacists who we all hate. So we all said, yes, you're
yeah,
right.
what's
That
the
person
total
that
on
killed
that?
her should be in jail. We're not deflecting for the movement,
Okay,
right? Saying, oh, well, actually, the neo-Nazis
okay,
are
can I
good
call you
people.
back here
They're
in
just
2 minutes
misunderstood.
and,
They're not really a
pay for that?
cohesive group. They're just a bunch of
'Cause I gotta walk in to get my
disparate
coffee. Right.
individuals that all believe
Right.
different things. So we shouldn't judge them for what happened.
So I'll
at
just call
Charlottesville.
you back and
We
pay
have
for it.
no problem saying, yes, we
Okay,
condemn that
bye.
entire organization. Absolutely.
All
Now,
right,
that doesn't
stream,
mean that
I'll be
everyone
right
that's
back.
concerned about the
Give
statues
me
is a
5 minutes.
neo-Nazi,
Gotta run inside and
but
get
we
my
certainly
card.
condemn all
My
actual
wife, I
neo-Nazis.
swear.
Why can't you do the same
Jeez.
with Black Lives
She's not
Matter and
on her phone
Antifa?
or something.
Why can't, not
Right.
you, but you the
Right,
you know
they
what I mean?
won't.
Don't go anywhere,
Right,
guys.
they
I'll
won't,
be
and
right
this
back.
is the problem.
I'll be
Is
right
they
back.
always make it
In fact,
look
I'll
like
leave
we're the
these
ones
guys
on the
up
offensive
because you
or
can
whatever.
probably
And
still hear
this is
them.
why they don't ever have to do any of this. There's
Right?
no
You guys
reason
can
for
still
them
hear
to.
them.
Like, why would
So let me
they?
do
Right.
this.
That by doing that, they would be showing some
I'll
sort of
leave you guys with
weakness.
them.
They would be acknowledging
because you
that
can still hear
there's
them.
some bad,
And
some
I'll be
bad
back in
stuff
just a
going
second.
on their side.
So
and
stick around.
and they know they don't have to do that. So why would they? And again, this all comes back to the media, because really the only reason any of this is occurring is because the media will not hold both sides accountable equally. Instead, they hold one side to standards that they do not hold the other side to, because they're in league with them. It's like they just decide to team up, and this can't end well. Like, it's.
I mean, look at, like, I like to use analogies. Maybe they're not always the best, but I knew a family growing up where there were two brothers, and the younger brother used to just slap the snot out of the older brother. And the parents didn't care. They'd let it go because the younger brother's like years younger. So he slapped the older brother, slapped the older brother, slapped the older brother around. And finally, what predictably what happens? Parents didn't stop it, so what happened? Older brother has enough and knuckles him, right? Then older brother's the bad guy. Oh, you can't swing back like that. You can't do that. That's exactly what we see happening. What's happening is they're constantly they're paying lip service, deflecting, whatever, for Antifa, for Black Lives Matter, to attack anyone that they want. They say, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's a disparate group. But then as soon as someone fights back, they're like, look at those horrible people. And you might say, well, you're just saying that, Rob, because, conservatives or blah, 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 because it's people that look like you or people from your group. Want to know who said it recently that my eyebrow raised? I was like, You remember when it was a big news story because racism's a huge story, right? CNN has to cover even racial hoaxes. Same with the New York Times, Washington Post. It's a huge story. This country is so racist. You remember back in 2017 where you started to hear all these stories in New York of anti-Semitic attacks? You remember that?
Yeah,
Donald Trump got elected. Look at the rise in anti-Semitic.
Right.
Notice those sort of disappeared. You know why they disappeared, right?
Why? I wonder why. There's only one reason, but I think I know it.
Yeah, it's
because of
this nation
who's
of Islam.
doing it. Right.
It's Islamic people. It's like Islamic people. It's not traditional Trump supporters. We'll just say that. It's people palling around with the Democratic Party. So now it's not a news story. So you remember there was this story last year where it was like a Jewish deli or an open air Jewish market or something like that, where some maniac shot and killed.
Columbus. It was my hometown.
Okay. Well, I thought this happened near New York as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, that was another one. Yeah, that was another one. I know what you're talking about.
So what happened?
Oh man.
I saw an interview.
Okay, we're back in the show. Can you guys hear me?
Professional interrupter.
We can hear you.
I'm such an interrupter. I apologize. Let me.
We have a very professional operation going.
I do, man. I have the. You know what? I will say that Easy E. I call him Easy E, but he said respect to me because he's like the wife comes first, man. And so both of you young gents that are many years younger than me can learn from me on this, that I answer my wife's calls on my Saturday streams because she is the most important thing.
Wait, how old are you?
You did it.
I'm older than you. No,
Are you?
you're not older than me. Well, I wish.
I bet I'm older than you.
You are not.
I'm
Are you
36.
sure?
Oh God, you guys are babies. How old are
wait,
you,
how old are
Drone?
you?
How old are you,
How old are
Drone?
you?
How old are you,
I'm
Drone?
41. I'm 41.
I'm 46.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I thought
Oh,
I was older than
oh.
Robin.
Yeah,
Golden.
thanks for that. You're like, I know I don't look it. I know I look spry.
I still got lush thick hair.
I know, dude. My hair is.
Actually, it is bald. It is sitting a little bit up here.
I thought SJG. I honestly thought, and this is a compliment. I thought you were like 39, an out of shape 39-year-old. That's what I
Yeah,
thought you had.
you do not look 46, dude. I gotta say, you definitely, you chose well as far as your wife.
Yeah, she's good. She's hot. She's a beautiful
I'm
woman.
impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Thank you.
But
Thank
SJG,
you.
just to catch you up, what we were talking about. Remember all the anti-Semitic attacks in New York in 2017?
Yeah.
We heard it was
Yes.
Trump's fault.
Yeah,
Did you notice those stories went away?
yeah, because they were black
Yeah.
people. They were doing it.
Right, because it's Nation of Islam type people. That's exactly what we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So I saw the one of the attacks that was really bad that happened like at the end of the year where someone got shot.
Levy
I saw a
DM
rabbi
by.
come.
Sorry.
Yeah. A rabbi came out and was interviewed, and he said, "Look, here's the deal." He's like, "Here's what's going to happen. We in the Jewish community are used to being attacked. We're going to fight back. We're going to arm ourselves and fight back. And you know what's going to happen then? All of a sudden, De Blasio will pay attention, and they'll throw us in jail because he
Right.
set the conditions where our community is constantly attacked, and when we defend ourselves, we'll be the bad people."
Yeah.
And this was the biggest part of the quote: "Just like the Proud Boys." Now that's the Proud Boys, the white neo-nationalist
Yeah,
group, right?
yep,
With
yep,
the
yep.
rabbi defending them.
Well, the white neo-nationalist group that's got people of all different colors in it, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with skin color or race and has never said anything They're
Right.
nationalists, just like I'm a nationalist. They're not white nationalists, right? And so, but he's exactly right. That's what's going on. And
They don't
that's
really
why
seem to be bad
Charlottesville.
people either. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look into it, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but the Proud Boys. I mean, look, there's a couple guys in, it, but for the most part, they try to police it and they try to. I get that Gavin left them and stuff because he thought they were.
I like
getting-
that.
Me too.
No, he didn't
But-
leave them though. Time out a second. He didn't leave them because he thought they were getting too far gone. He left them because he was getting too much heat for
Right.
and lies about him to where it wasn't worth defending. He still
Right.
totally goes to bat for them, and
That's not why he left them.
Speaking of
That's the
Gavin,
reason he left them. He left them because he was basically told that organization and people in it were going to get in legal jeopardy because of him. And so he fell
Yeah.
on the sword and said, "Fine, then I'll leave it if it means that my friends and the people I respect
Yeah.
have less of a potential to get in legal trouble if I distance myself from the
Right.
group, then I'll distance myself."
yeah,
That's
Can I-
why he
can I
left.
ask you guys a question about him real quick? Does he seem like a defeated man to you guys? He doesn't seem like the same guy that he used to be.
And that's-
sometimes. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I mean that's like
Yeah.
look at Alex Jones. That's what happens
Yes.
when you get depersoned.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah.
I haven't been thinking about it like that as much because I'll watch some of his. Recently I haven't watched him a lot recently, but like when he had his censored TV or whatever it is, his online. I mean, he still was pretty damn funny. I don't know.
Did you see where he went to the park? Did you see the video where he goes to the park and he's like talking there? There's people sitting there trying to check to make sure you have a mask as you go in or something. And he's like ranting and raving. Let me see if I can find it. It's really funny.
Dude,
He
did
has
you guys?
a really funny movie that used to be on Netflix. It's called How to Be a Man. It's a hilarious movie, but they took it off because he's an evil person. Apparently.
Mhm. Hey, did
But
you
look it
guys
up, it's a
watch
funny
that
movie.
new? Did you guys watch Plandemic 2 yet? Did you guys watch the new documentary out, Plandemic 2?
I heard about it. I have.
We
not
gotta
watched-
do a watch along on that, man.
Be right back.
That I'm gonna put the
Hold on.
link up here, dude. It is a freaking amazing.
I'm gonna show this video real quick, okay? Of Alex Jones at the park just because it's hilarious.
Hang on, I
Hold on,
gotta
I'm
go
gonna
back.
I'm gonna take Robert out. All right, here you go, guys. Oh, I love Alex. Okay, so I love Alex Jones. I think he's hilarious and awesome. I don't watch the show. I don't really watch anything he does. But
I don't know, dude. I feel he's a shill, man. I don't know. I don't know what I think about him.
he makes me laugh.
Yeah, he makes me laugh too. But go ahead. I can't hear it, dude. Why can't I hear it?
Really?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Hold on. Audio, headphones. Oh, I know why. Audio, headphones. Oh, I know why. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. Sorry, guys.
Still can't hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why.
I don't know if I believe you.
Now you hear it? Now you hear it?
No.
You will. You will.
Still don't. Nope. Nope. Still don't hear it.
Really?
Really. Kick him in the balls, Alex. I'll tell you what, man. This is bullshit. You're turning the frogs gay. I can't believe this. People out here right now don't wear a mask because the frogs are going gay. I got a bullhorn. Somebody on the backside of this sign is texting, probably going viral video on me. I don't care. My name's Alex Jones.
I forgot my children's name because I ate a big bowl of chili.
Yeah.
He literally said that in court. The man said that in court.
He did.
Look, here's the deal with Alex Jones. Someone say to my chat.
Oh my
Google,
god, dude.
snake
I
oil
love
trigger.
Alex Jones, man.
Right, true.
You guys couldn't hear any of
Yeah,
that?
I mean, look.
No.
I don't know why.
No.
Okay, fuck it. I don't care.
I mean, yeah. I like. Look, he says a lot of BS stuff, and he apparently sells snake oil treatment. That's probably true. Like, you know, some
Yeah.
of his garbage ads. I don't care though. Like, here's the thing with Alex Jones. He's far less egregious than Anderson Cooper,
Oh,
or
fucking A.
Chris
Yeah.
Cuomo, or Don Lemon, or anyone at the New York Times. Like, who's supported a hoax that's been more harmful, Alex Jones or the New York Times? What do you think? Half of our country thinks that our president's a stooge of Putin with zero evidence.
A
because
Russian
of the New York Times.
A Russian agent. That's an existential threat to the country. Like, I'm amazed there hasn't been like multiple attempts on his life. I know. Well, there has been actually a couple.
Oh,
but they
I
get
still don't think those are over. I still think we could see him get.
Did you
get
guys hear?
capped.
Did you guys hear about? I read a story and it was the most ridiculous thing. Apparently in Mar-a-Lago, there was a couple teens or something that they caught jumping over the wall and going into Mar-a-Lago who had an AK. They had an AK-47, but they just found it. They just happened to stumble on the AK-47 and then just accidentally jumped into Mar-a-Lago.
Where was that?
At Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, where Trump vacations.
But wait a minute. Go back to the who found an AK-47? They what?
That's what I'm saying. It was a ridiculous story. The story was that these teens had been arrested jumping over the wall in Mar-a-Lago with an AK-47, and then the story went on to say, "Oh, but it wasn't a big deal. They just happened to find this AK-47 on their way when they were out, and then they were running, and they just happened to stumble onto Mar-a-Lago by accident. They didn't know where they were." Seriously, that's the story. It's like, what?
So I heard a crazy conspiracy theory, which I don't know how much weight it holds. It's from what's his face from Medical News. What's it called? Natural News. Which he has some good articles. The dude from Natural News, but also some over the top conspiratorial type stuff. But it's this article right here. It says a private company offering contract air support using military jet. Hang on, let me open it. It says, the headline reads, Mike Adams, that guy. Private company offering contract air support using military jet fighters located in Lakeland, Florida, where live air-to-air missile was just found. So did you guys hear about that live air-to-air missile that was just found down in Lakeland, Florida? Did you guys hear about that? No?
No.
Okay, here. So let me open this up. Let me transition to this article here. I'm going to pull it up here and stick it into here. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to transition over. I don't know how to share my screen. If you can share, I don't know if you can share.
Good. I can see it though.
I can see it.
Okay, so basically it says, so this guy's a total conspiratorial turd a bit on, and you know that's crazy if I'm saying it, because we all know I'm the biggest tinfoil hat wearer out of the three of us. But having said that, this guy, it says, as you recall, a live radar-guided air-to-air missile was just found last week on the tarmac of Lakeland, Florida airport, which is true. I remember reading the article. We analyzed the serial number and data details of this missile and found that it was a Matra R530F missile made by French weapon contractors and designed to be used on French-made Mirage fighter jets. So basically it goes on to say, this is the tube of it where this missile was. This private company that provides air contract support, kind of like I would think a Blackwater is, a private military contractor, right? You know, because that got rolled out after 9/11. Anyways, they have a whole bunch of French aircraft that this missile would work on, and they just so happen to be in Lakeland, Florida also. So this guy, Mike Adams, is basically proposing the idea or the theory that possibly this could have been used by one of these airplanes to take down like Air Force One, and it could have been like a deep state would hijack one of these planes or whatnot and used as an assassination plot on Trump. So I don't know what to say to that. I'm like, I'm not throwing all
That's
my.
pretty wild.
It is pretty wild, though. It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot of coincidences.
A lot of coincidences, man. A lot of circumstantial evidence right there, or information that makes you kind of go, that's kind of interesting.
Right. And that's kind of the same thing with this story. And I got it up here. I just want to show it real quick. The one I was just talking about. That's a really good one too. But this one I was just talking about the teens. It says 3 teenagers fleeing police carrying a semi-automatic gun. It was an AK-47. I love that they say semi-automatic gun. Like most guns are, but whatever. President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. I can't talk. And it's funny they say teens, which makes me think it was black teens. I don't know. That just seems to be what they say usually.
You're a racist.
I know, look, they had no idea where they were. Okay, it says that they had no idea where they were, and then what else does it say? It says he said the 3 said they didn't own the AK-47, but just had found it. Like they just had found an AK-47
lying around,
and they just had jumped over the wall at Mar-a-Lago, which is where Trump.
What is that news? That's CBS.
Yeah, how is this not like a huge story? Like, what the fuck? Because it's like, you know what it reminds me of is when there was that ambush in Dallas at the BLM rally of the police, right? And there's video of it. The guy, if you don't know what I'm talking about, get on YouTube. There's video of this guy literally like mowing down cops. But and it happened at a BLM rally. And then it's funny because I've gone and looked and tried to find this actual quote, but I couldn't. But I was watching it when it happened, and they interviewed the police chief like right after they had killed him because he had barricaded in a building, and they sent in a little robot that blew up and killed him, or maybe it carried a grenade or something. I don't know. But the chief came on. He's like, the first thing he says when he gets on is like, he had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. I just want to let you know that he told me when we were talking that he had nothing to do with the organization. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, first of all, it happened at a Black Lives Matter rally where they were calling for violence against cops. But we're to believe that this black man who targeted cops had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or didn't like them.
Right.
Like, what? Like, can you imagine the same thing happening if it were like a Tea Party or something like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it boggles the mind.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the total opposite. You see, like, for example, take the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter. Well, what was that? Well, that was an anti-Semite. Must be a Trump supporter, right? Except he said in his writings he specifically hated Trump for kowtowing to Israel and moving the embassy to Jerusalem. So even when we legitimately have the person saying, no, I hate Donald Trump, they spin it as, must be a Trump supporter. But then they go out of their way if it's someone like, I want to kill white, like, remember the Dallas BLM shooter, right? Where he killed 5 police officers in Dallas.
That's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, like you said, that's the situation you were talking. Yeah, absolutely. He said he wanted to kill white people,
Robert.
But it wasn't BLM. It wasn't BLM. Like, that's the double standard that we see.
Yeah.
You know, when it's someone that could, let's not forget, and I've had this argument, when you want to play these games of assigning blame and things like that, when you're going out of your way saying, this must be Trump's rhetoric. Let's look at the Christchurch shooter, and then remember, where was it? Austin, Texas. There was a shooting like a week after where someone went into like a Walmart or something, shot up a bunch of Hispanic people. Now, do I believe that both of those shooters shot people for racial reasons? Absolutely. What does that have to do with the right? What does that have? In fact, I would make the argument, which side? Right? All right, they certainly did. They said, it must be Trump supporters. There must be right wingers. Why is that? Which side judges you by the color of your skin as opposed to the content of your character? Well, that's the left.
Right.
And furthermore, if you looked at those manifestos, the Austin's manifesto, that killer's manifesto said he was inspired by the Christchurch shooter.
Yeah.
The Christchurch shooter's manifesto was clearly a trolling effort. He also blamed Spyro the Dragon. And one of the things he specifically said, you know why he was out shooting people? Climate change. Because there's too many people on this earth and we need to solve climate change. So if you're going to say, well, he shot Muslims there.
Guy. He mocked thoughts and prayers, but yeah, good.
Right. So if you're going to say this guy shot people because he's a right winger, because it's a racist, therefore he must be right winger. What's to stop me from saying no? He shot people because he's a left winger that believes in climate change.
Right. That's like Gabby Gifford. When that guy shot her, it was the same thing. Like when you looked at his politics, he actually had a lot more like left-leaning kind of stuff that he was into, and it was more apolitical than anything. But they really tried to connect him to the Tea Party and all that. But yeah.
And that's what my standard is this. For example, when Steve Scalise got shot by Bernie supporter, I defended that it was not Bernie Sanders' fault. I said that's not his fault. Every political movement and leader will have psychopaths in them, right? So I'm not going to blame the Democrats or Bernie Sanders anytime a psycho from their side goes out and does something. However, when you have large swaths of them committing violence, like we see with Black Lives Matter and with Antifa, and they either condone, deflect, or act like the violence isn't happening, then they are at fault. And that's the difference.
Or they're actually before that, like the Maxine Waters of the world, are standing up and telling people to go out and do that. Can you even imagine if somebody on the right, a congressman or whatnot on the right was like, when you see those leftist Antifas, you go out and you bash them. You throw them into the ground. Can you imagine the shitstorm that you would get? And I'm not trying to be whataboutism. I get it. But the ridiculousness. Yeah, I know. But what I'm just saying is, it's not like I get it that it's, you can't just you're just flipping the script, but the insanity that would come on that is just undeniably insane. How much shit we would get for that. Right. I had one thing I wanted to say real quick. I had a good idea for our next stream because it just came to me when you were sharing your article, and then I had this article here I wanted to share. Maybe the next time we do this, I thought this one went great with us just rapping, but maybe each of us could bring an article we want to talk about, and then we'll just share it like this, because this is one that I thought was worthy to share too, that nobody doesn't really hit. If you guys don't know if you don't follow the True Pundit or the Thomas Paine podcast, and it's Michael Moore, but not that Michael Moore. It's a different Michael Moore.
Right.
It's, this guy here, Mike Moore, the Paine podcast. You guys should really follow it. It's a great, great podcast. But did you guys hear that Madame Secretary and Madame Pedophile, Hillary Clinton hired Ghislaine Maxwell's nephew at the State Department? I wonder why we aren't hearing a little more about that one too. To me, that was a pretty interesting article. Hillary Clinton
this has to.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, just go ahead.
No, I was just going to say real quick. It's because they use our principled nature against us, because I would look at this story at face value and say, well, that doesn't prove anything. Right. But the story isn't that doesn't prove anything. The story is, if it was the opposite, if it would have been Trump that hired Ghislaine Maxwell's nephew at State Department, it'd be the biggest story in the country. That's what our criticism is, right? So I haven't heard this story, but I guarantee what the left will say at the end of it is, does that prove that Hillary Clinton was a pedophile, or that she knew that Ghislaine Maxwell's nephew's a pedophile, or that she knew that Ghislaine Maxwell was a pedophile? No, I guess it doesn't prove it. Okay, non-story. But the fact that there's a picture of Trump with Epstein at one point, that proves that he must have connections to Epstein. Even though Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, even though Trump talked early and often about being creeped out by Epstein. So that's the difference.
The article says Secretary Clinton gave Alex a job in one of the most sensitive areas of Obama's executive apparatus, a source said. The fact Alex, whatever his last name is, fresh out of college, was put in charge of the State Department's Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs, covering the Middle East, was an interesting move. He worked directly in the Arab Springs. Hillary sent Alex as the U.S. representative to the expatriate rebel groups Friends of Libya and Friends of the Syrian People. He was given special treatment. But you're right. It doesn't prove anything, but it is interesting. Again, just another little connection between Ghislaine Maxwell and the Clintons. It is kind of interesting.
Oh, I mean, these, and that's the problem here. Like, there's so much smoke, so there has to be fire at some point.
Yeah.
And like in any, but what they do is they allow enough room for doubt in any specific story that then they could just claim, oh, then nothing's occurring. And we know that it's garbage. It's like Hollywood. Like, we all know that sexual exploitation of children is rampant in Hollywood. We know it, right? But there's enough doubt and there's not enough like physical proof that in each individual case you could be like, well, maybe not. Maybe that specific case didn't happen. That's why it's so important when we see the obvious cases that we, the people that want to speak up against this corruption, really highlight those cases. For example, we could talk until we're blue in the face about Harvey Weinstein, about Epstein, etc. I know for a fact that Roman Polanski sodomized a 13-year-old girl.
Right.
He was found guilty of it. He did it. And I could watch the same people that lecture me and you and Trump and Trump supporters and construction workers and toxic masculinity, people like Whoopi Goldberg or people like Meryl Streep that do that. I watched them defend someone who drugged and sodomized a 13-year-old girl in Roman Polanski. Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg said it's not rape. Not rape. I can hardly think of a more heinous rape. Drugging a child and raping them. And that doesn't qualify to you as rape. That's the stories that we need to focus on. And this Epstein story is a great story that we need to focus on because what it shows is it's the veil being lifted. You can see through the veil. You know that there's something shady going on, but that veil's still there. So the few times that veil gets lifted, that's when we need to strike. That's when you tell your people that aren't in the known, look at this story. That's why I'm so frustrated about the Trump administration not holding anyone to account of relevance in the coup against.
I know.
Because me and you could look at this story and say, look, here's the proof. But until someone goes to jail, the average person is going to be like, this is a complicated story. I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, right. And that's what they plan on doing, or that's all by design, is that they make it so complicated. They drop this piece and this piece and this piece. Unless you're following, I can't even. In fact, it was so funny you said this, Rob, because I literally the other day was like, man, I don't even remember all the chronological events of the Ukraine story anymore and of the FISA gate, and it's so many pieces here and there. I couldn't talk about it logically from point A to Z anymore. And I was thinking, you know what would be a good podcast to do is to start a podcast dedicated to that again, and start at A and go to Z, just so that you have one spot to go to that has it all laid out. I think my food's here, which means I might dive out of here. Let me see here. Hang on.
Is Dronetek on?
Hi, Miss Gumpleton. You're on live. You're here with my food? That's what I thought. So, all right, I'll be in 5 minutes, honey. I'm just going to sign off. I know. I forgot to tell you that they're doing this. So let's watch it in the living room or something. Okay, love you, bye. Anyway, Dronetek took
film you and your wife eating and watch the movie. We'll watch that. I said, just film you and your wife eating and watching the movie. We'll watch that.
We watch.
Hey, you can buy life insurance off me?
I do need to get some life insurance, so I'll buy some life insurance from you.
All right.
Yes.
I
trust you.
Are you going to leave your stream up? Yeah. I'm not going to sell you anything. It's garbage.
No,
are you going to leave your stream up or are you heading out?
No, my stream I'm going to take down, but you stay here until he comes back, so his stream isn't empty. Okay. But I'm going to sign off. But everyone can.
Let me say my audience and yours. Where can they find you?
SJG Perspective. On Parler is a good one for me. Obviously, YouTube and D Live, all SJG Perspective. You can find me on Twitter at Perspective SJG. I don't hardly go on there. Discord, I don't know. I'm on Discord too. SJG Perspective. All the major ones. SJG Perspective. So all those things. But really, Parler, I would say I'm active on, and D Live, trying to be more active. I got like 4 or 5 new subs today on D Live, which was kind of cool.
Awesome. And you get, for your audience, you can find me at Normal America with Rob Noor on YouTube. It's the same, Normal America with Rob Noor, and you can see all my names spelled there, Noerr. Also, it's that on Twitch TV, Normal America with Rob Noor. On D Live, I'm just Normal America, and then on Twitter, I'm Robert Noor. So.
Hey, you got back just in time. Dronetek. My Chinese food is here, so I'm gonna dip out and go eat. But
all right,
let's do this again. I know we used to do this a lot, but I'm thinking this was a really good flow. And maybe next week we can even have some articles, each one of us, instead of coordinating each one of us around one article beforehand to get our thoughts, let's each bring an article, one article that we think's interesting, and then we'll have our thoughts prepared on it, and then we'll bounce it off everyone else. And that way we're likely not to have the same article or idea to where we'll cover a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
And then also one other thing before I go. Let's talk offline about doing that D Live channel and get a D Live channel up and going. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I think I am going to go ahead and wrap it up just because I'm going to go and hang out with the family a little bit. But I do want to thank everybody for coming, SJG and Robert Noir. I'm sure Robert's going to continue streaming tonight. So are you, Robert?
Yeah, probably for a half hour.
All right. So if you guys all want to head over to Robert Noir's channel after this, go over and hang out with him for a little bit. Robert is a fountain of knowledge, and he is just, I love the guy. Both these guys, but Robert, you are just a machine, and we are very happy that you're on our side. So guys, head over there and check him out. I'll put the link in the,
Go ahead. One more thing. Robert, I would like to talk to you also offline, and you can be part of this too, Drone. Let's do a dedicated podcast on one of our podcasts, because I'm trying to get an actual podcast program going too, platform. But let's talk about doing a podcast that we dedicate. And I know your channel has covered this extensively, but maybe we start at A and we go to Z and we do a little more condensed layout on every episode of the Ukraine and FISA-gate stuff, just to have a library that people can go to when they want to walk through it from A to Z.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too, because we should be using this channel more, not just for like to put out content, but to actually do something. Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we can actually affect some change. Who knows?
Yeah. And then I'm gonna get back live on my We Didn't Land on the Moon, so you can be part of that, Dronetek.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that, dude. I would love to get into some topics like that. We should talk about. We should do some other topics too, just like other weird topics.
From politics,
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming.
Love you,
Robert. Thanks a lot. And guys, check us out here. I think we may try to do this every Saturday. And if you guys still want to watch some more, head over to Robert's channel. I put the link in the chat. Thanks, all.
Guys.
I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, guys.
And my group, love y'all, and I'm out. We'll see you later.